Chapter 350. They're from Wu Nation's 7 Stars sect. They're surrounded by a group of electric dogs. Chu Yang recognized the insignia on these people. Other than Wei Nation, there were also Wu Nation, Korea, and Qi Nation in the Eastern Wilderness. Among them, the 5 Elements sect was in Wei Nation, the 7 Stars sect was in Wu Nation, the Dragon Tiger sect was in Korea, and the Soul Devourer clan was in Qi Nation. 4 nations, 4 great sects. The 4 great sects of the 4 nations were basically equal in strength. However, among the 4 great sects, the Soul Devourer clan seemed to be more mysterious, hiding something unknown. Other than these 4 great sects, there was also a demonic sect, the 1000 Demonic sect. It could be said that the 1000 Demonic sect was the common enemy of the 4 great sects of the 4 nations. There were a total of 7 people from the 7 Stars sect. Most of them were in the 9th level of the Qi Soul Realm, and only 2 of them were in the Ascending Soul Realm. It could be said that their strength was not bad. The 7 of them were not bad, but the electric dogs surrounding them were not weak either. Every electric dog was as strong as a calf, and their strength was definitely not below the 8th level of the Qi Soul Realm. The 3 leading electric dogs were even in the 1st level of the Qi Soul Realm. The Thunder space did not belong to any force. It could be said that it was a public space, and anyone could come in if they wanted. Therefore, it was not strange to encounter the 7 Stars sect. Chu Yang might also encounter the Dragon Tiger sect, the Soul Devourer clan, or even people from the 4 nations, as well as rogue cultivators. I'm afraid these people won't be able to hold on much longer. Little Six said. 6th brother, you really have sharp eyes. The electric dogs are very united and cooperate very well. 2 of them are in the 1st level of the Ascending Soul Realm and 2 of them are in the 1st level of the Ascending Soul Realm. The remaining electric dog is commanding the electric dog group. The 7 disciples of the 7 Stars sect were definitely a force to be reckoned with. However, the problem was that they were facing a group of electric dogs. The electric dogs were huge and were unique beasts in the thunder space. They could control lightning and lived in groups. One of them were not very scary, but a group of them was quite scary. Chu Yang secretly observed the 7 people and frowned slightly. The human heart was unpredictable. He was thinking about whether to save them or not. It was not good to expose his strength. Heaven-blessed martial god's boss, since you have misgivings, why save them? The 7 of them won't be able to hold on for long. Little Six did not have the slightest intention of sparing these 7 people. In fact, he was rejoicing in their misfortune. These 7 people were clearly being treated as prey by the electric dogs. Who said that only humans could eat demonic beasts? Demonic beasts could also eat humans. Almighty boss, you don't care if it doesn't concern you. Little Black and Little Six were the same. If Chu Yang didn't save them, they wouldn't have any objections. No, I don't find them annoying. Boss of heaven-blessed martial god, you want to help them and I'm not going to say anything? Even if Little Six and Little Black had objections, it was useless. If I don't save you, wouldn't I be laughed at by you? If there were 7 monkeys down there, you would definitely save me. I'm not inferior to the 2 of you, right? My heart is still warm. It was necessary to be on guard, but it was too much to leave them in the lurch. Moreover, these 7 people were extremely united. After observing them for a while, Chu Yang found that among the 7 of them, there were even people who were willing to risk their lives to save their companions. Not to mention other things, Chu Yang definitely couldn't hate people like this. He was already prepared to make a move. The 7 Stars sect's disciples were currently in a bitter battle and were constantly brushing past death. How could they pay attention to the situation around them? Naturally, they wouldn't notice Chu Yang. Rumble. In the sky above the electric dogs, 10 huge boulders suddenly appeared. They expanded to the size of a house and emitted rolling flames. They exploded with a strong force and fell down like meteorites. This was what Chu Yang learned from the Hellfire Evil Dragon. The boulders were also strengthened with the mystery of weight. They were at least 500 to 600 times heavier than boulders of the same level. With a clang, Chu Yang also took out his saber and slashed down at the electric dogs at lightning speed. With a bang, when Chu Yang was about to fall, A huge flame suddenly burst out from the ground where the electric dogs were. This was naturally learned from the Hellfire Evil Dragon. Not to mention that Little Six was very proficient in this path. When Chu Yang fought with it back then, Little Six had learned his great thousand-leaf hands. Now that he had the celestial encompassing apparatus, he could learn the Hellfire Evil Dragon's moves even without using his genius martial soul. Not to mention, after Chu Yang devoured the Hellfire Evil Dragon that was at the ascending soul stage and obtained its talent, it was definitely not difficult for him to perform these moves. The electric dogs were going all out to deal with the Seven Stars sect's disciples. Who would have thought that Chu Yang would descend from the sky and burst out with such a thunderbolt attack? The fire that burst out from the ground burned many electric dogs, and they were caught off guard. Soon after, the boulders that fell down caused the electric dogs to be in chaos. The saber that was slashed out also swept across. Chapter 351. Dawn. Chu Yang was like a god. When he landed on the ground, the entire ground shook under his feet. The 6 Seven Stars sect's disciples were overjoyed and dazzled at the same time. Senior brother, the 7 Seven Stars sect disciples admired Chu Yang from the bottom of their hearts. They wanted to go up and strike up a conversation with him. At the same time, they wanted to thank him for his help. However, it was not the right time. Although the electric dogs had suffered heavy casualties, there were still many of them left. The 3 electric dogs in the lead were not injured at all. Chu Yang had caught them off guard, and had angered them even more. So, he had attracted all of their hatred towards him. Whoosh! Whoosh! Numerous electric dogs instantly surrounded Chu Yang and the 8 of them. From time to time, crackling sounds could be heard from their bodies. Electric rays could be seen flickering around their bodies. Even their mouths were filled with dense electric rays. With Chu Yang at the front, the 7 of them instantly felt the pressure lessen. The feeling of being on the verge of death was no longer as strong. Senior brother, I'm Le Guanyu from the 7 Stars sect. Thank you for saving my life. A white-clothed young man with an imposing appearance said sincerely as he looked at Chu Yang. He had an imposing aura and gave off a feeling of daring and boldness. He looked at Chu Yang and said sincerely. However, he couldn't help but be stunned as he realized that Chu Yang's cultivation was at most at the 3rd level of the Chi Soul stage. Senior brother, be careful. He immediately reminded, this electric dog pack is extremely troublesome. 3 of us have already died in their hands. Not even their corpses are left. Especially since their skin is rough and their flesh is thick. Even a middle-grade Chi Soul Realm weapon would have a hard time hurting them. Chu Yang turned his head to look and realized that Le Guanyu was holding a broadsword in his hand that emitted a cold light. A weapon at the ascending Soul Realm. The other 6 disciples all had their own weapons. The lowest among them was a middle-grade Chi Soul Realm weapon. I'm Chu Yang of the 5 Elements sect. Senior brother you don't have to be so courteous. We're all disciples of the same sect, so it's only right that we help each other. Chu Yang also returned the greeting, completely not putting the electric dogs in his eyes. This caused Le Guanyu's eyelids to involuntarily twitch, but he immediately felt relieved. Although Chu Yang was only at the 3rd layer of the Chi Soul stage, his attacks just now were extremely terrifying. His opponent was definitely a monstrous disciple. These electric dogs are too powerful. Brother Chu, you have to be careful. Le Guanyu reminded him. It's no big deal. Just kill them until they're scared. Let them know how powerful you are, and they'll retreat. Chu Yang said it too lightly. Le Guanyu couldn't help but frown slightly. How could he not know this? But could he do it? Then, he was shocked again. Brother Le, don't worry. Whoosh. At this moment, Chu Yang had already rushed out. Senior Chu. 7 turned pale with fright, but all he heard was Chu Yang scolding the electric dog, Scram. The electric dog pack immediately exploded, furious and crazy. Their intelligence was definitely not inferior to the 8 people in front of them. How could they endure such humiliation? Crackle. The electric dogs released streaks of electric light from their mouths, all bombarding Chu Yang. Not good. Why did he rush over alone? It's over, it's over. There are so many electric dogs, and each of them is a streak of electric light. It's too terrifying when gathered together. It's over this time. Senior Chu is too bold. When the 6-7 stars sect disciples saw this scene, their faces turned ashen, and they turned pale with fright. No one knew the power of these electric dogs better than them. The lightning that the electric dogs spat out was extremely shocking and had great lethality. With so many electric dogs attacking together, even an expert at the peak of the first layer of the ascending soul stage would be instantly killed and hacked into charred pieces. Bang! The 7 of them only heard a burst of flames and a sound that sounded like a burst of flames. In an instant, 10 phantoms of Chu Yang appeared in their eyes. They could not tell whether they were real or fake. When they noticed the fluctuations coming from mid-air, they could not help but be shocked when they looked over. A pair of eagle wings appeared on Chu Yang's back at some point in time. He had already rushed into the air, and the lightning from the electric dogs all hit his phantoms. At this moment, Chu Yang, who was in mid-air, had already slashed down at the leader of the electric dogs who was in charge of commanding the electric dogs. An incomparably dazzling saber light of 3 feet directly descended. You don't know what's good for you. I'll kill all of you. Although the leader of the electric dogs tried its best to resist, it was split into 2 by Chu Yang like a piece of paper. The electric dogs were instantly in chaos and fled in all directions. Boom! The ground shook. The 7 people from the 7 stars sect were dumbfounded. Chu Yang fell heavily to the ground. His body was unharmed, and there was not even a trace of his aura. Chapter 352. As soon as the leader of the electric dogs died, the electric dogs scattered in all directions. In the blink of an eye, they had completely disappeared without a trace. Shocking. It was simply too shocking. It was completely unimaginable. Completely unimaginable. Whoosh. After the 7 people from the 7 stars sect recovered from their shock, they let out long sighs of relief. At this time, they realized that their backs were cold and wet, and they felt weak. Even Le Guanyu was the same. Chu Yang was not as tired as them, but he had used up some energy. He had used the 3rd transformation of the origin martial art. However, with a thought, the 5 martial spirits, Little Black and Little Six, the essence chi of the heavens and earth immediately rolled over and entered his body. It turned into vital chi and replenished his meridians. In the blink of an eye, his aura surged again. Fortunately, it was only for a short moment, and the people from the 7 stars sect did not notice this scene. Otherwise, they would have been shocked to the point of being tongue-tied. This was simply like a whale swallowing. Senior Brother Chu, you're really too powerful. You actually killed the leader of the electric dogs with 1 slash. Although a little girl was tired, she was extremely excited and jumped around. She was the first to run to Chu Yang's side with a face full of admiration. With someone taking the lead, a group of people ran to Chu Yang's side in an uproar. That's right, that's right. When Senior Brother Chu rushed out, I thought we were finished. I didn't expect Senior Brother Chu to be so amazing that he scared us all. The 5 Elements sect is indeed a place with crouching tigers and hidden dragons. With just Senior Brother Chu alone, the 7 of us combined are definitely not his match. If it weren't for Senior Brother Chu's help this time, the few of us would probably have died here. The group of people from the 7 stars sect talked at once, expressing the admiration and gratitude in their hearts. Heaven-blessed martial artist, they at least treat you as a core disciple or even a true disciple of the 5 Elements sect. Xiao Hei's thought came to his mind. Hee. Little Six also laughed sinisterly and said, if they know that the omnipotent boss is just a mere inner disciple of the 5 Elements sect, they'll probably be in disbelief and jump in fright. I really want to see their expressions. It'll definitely be very interesting. Little Six's tone was very mocking. That's for the best. Chu Yang said indifferently to avoid being questioned by the other party. With this, the relationship between the 2 parties became much more harmonious. Chu Yang chatted with them for a while and more or less understood their situation. These 7 people didn't enter the thunder space because they had accepted a mission from the sect. Instead, they had another purpose. They had learned that there was a treasure of heaven and earth in the thunder space that was about to mature. There was a special fruit in the thunder space, just like the coiling dragon fruit in the coiling dragon secret realm, the heavenly thunder earthly fire fruit. Chu Yang did not know much about the heavenly lightning earthfire fruit, but through Le Guanyu, he realized that this fruit was probably not ordinary. Brother Chu, why don't we join hands and seize this lightning earthfire fruit? Le Guanyu pondered for a moment, and then gave his own suggestion. This suggestion seemed to give Chu Yang a big advantage, but in fact, this was not the case. Le Guanyu had his own concerns. Moreover, Chu Yang was extremely strong, and his character was definitely not too bad. Otherwise, he would not have saved them. Chu Yang was slightly taken aback, then said, Brother Le, that's not appropriate. A gentleman doesn't take what others love. Chu Yang was naturally tempted by the lightning earthfire fruit, but as he said, he would not take what belonged to others. As for taking it, the other party was definitely an enemy. Furthermore, what he needed now was a treasure of the wood element, not a fruit of the thunder or fire element. Brother Chu, you worry too much. Le Guanyu was also taken aback. He had never expected Chu Yang to reject him. He couldn't help but admire Chu Yang a little more. Then, he said, Brother Chu, it's definitely not easy to obtain the lightning earthfire fruit. Such a fruit must be guarded by a heavenly thunder beast. Furthermore, I reckon that the Longhu sect and the Soul Devourer clan will also come to snatch it. If not for the lack of an expert like Brother Chu, this lightning earthfire fruit is probably not something that the 7 of us can touch. That's right, Senior Brother Chu. The other 6 had just heard Chu Yang reject the lightning earthfire fruit, and their impression of Chu Yang improved greatly. Senior Brother Chu, with you joining us, our chances of obtaining the lightning earthfire fruit will be higher. That's right. Without Senior Brother Chu, let alone the Longhu sect and the Soul Devourer clan, we might not even be able to deal with the heavenly thunder beast. Chapter 353. Chu Yang was already tempted. After confirming that the 7 people were not faking it and were sincerely welcoming him, he immediately smiled and said, Senior and junior brothers, it'll be a bit hypocritical of me to refuse your invitation. Haha. Le Guanyu also laughed out loud. Brother Chu is indeed a gentleman. There are many scheming in the martial arts. It's rare to meet a kind person like Brother Chu. A kind person? Lil Six and Lil Black subconsciously curled their lips. He's also considered a kind person. You're really blind. Following that, the 8 of them moved together and cautiously approached the heavenly thunder and earthly fire fruit. Along the way, they encountered many powerful beasts. Moreover, the strength that Chu Yang displayed during the process shocked them even more. He was also a formation master. They were also glad. If it was not for Chu Yang, their trip would have been filled with danger. Brother Chu, have you noticed? There seem to be 3 people following behind us. 3 days later, during a break, Le Guanyu suddenly asked. He looked behind him. Oh! Chu Yang's eyes flickered, but he did not look behind him. He had noticed long ago, but he had not made a move for a long time. These 3 people have been following us for a long time. They seem to be coming for us. Another disciple from the 7 Stars sect also frowned. Anyone who was tailed by a group of people with unknown intentions would feel unhappy. Boss, I wonder if those 3 people are fat or not, but we'll have to kill them anyway. However, it's better to avoid the people from the 7 Stars sect. Otherwise, if you kill a fellow disciple, you might not be able to bear the consequences. Lil Six's voice sounded in Chu Yang's mind. He had to be wary of people even though he had a good relationship with the people from the 7 Stars sect. It's indeed time to deal with them. They died in the ancient forest near the Thunder Spring, so they have an excuse. A cold light flashed across Chu Yang's eyes. Everyone. Chu Yang cupped his hands at the people from the 7 Stars sect and said, I'm sorry, the 3 of them are coming for me. Please forgive me for leaving for a while to solve this problem. We'll meet again then. What? When the 7 people heard that Chu Yang was leaving, they all stood up. Senior Brother Chu, since these people are here for you, it means that they are also here for us. That's right. Senior Brother Chu, you saved our lives. How can we retreat now? Senior Brother Chu's enemy is also our enemy. Senior Brother Chu, let's go with you and kill those 3. The group was very loyal. Only Le Guanyu was extremely calm. He glanced at Chu Yang thoughtfully, but in the end, he didn't say anything. He, senior brothers and junior brothers, I appreciate your kind intentions. It's just 3 thieves, I'll be back soon. Whoosh. Chu Yang's figure moved, and soon, he was only a black dot. Junior brothers, we have to believe in Brother Chu's strength. Just as the few of them were about to follow him, Le Guanyu stretched out his hand and stopped them. Everyone has seen Brother Chu's strength these few days. There's no need to worry about him. I'm afraid Brother Chu has already discovered those 3 people. The reason why he didn't make a move is probably because he's merciful, so he let Brother Chu do his own thing. But Senior Brother Chu saved us. Are we just going to leave like this? The lively and cute little junior sister said, somewhat unwilling. Le Guanyu glanced at them and frowned. Junior brothers and junior sisters, if we don't go, it'll be the greatest help to Senior Brother Chu. When we're in the sect, there will always be people who will target us. This sentence caused the 6 people's minds to tremble violently, and they instantly understood. Senior Brother Le, who do you mean? A disciple from the 7 Stars sect spoke hesitantly. Believe me, the greatest help we can give Brother Chu is not seeing anything, not knowing anything, and going far away. Le Guanyu's words made the other 6 people no longer have any doubts. Chu Yang was going to kill them. Chapter 354. After Chu Yang left, Le Guanyu and the others immediately left as well, walking far away. In their opinion, with Chu Yang's strength, it was definitely not a problem to kill those 3 people. Their existence would instead tie Chu Yang's hands and feet. Once the 5 Elements sect inquired about this kind of internal strife through the 7 Star sect's elders, they would be in trouble. Thus, it was best if they did not see anything and did not know anything. This way, if they were questioned, they would indeed be telling the truth, they really did not see anything. In an instant, the 7 people's impression of Chu Yang increased greatly. Not only did he save their lives, but he also did things flawlessly and would definitely not make things difficult for them. Moreover, in their opinion, if it were not for their existence, those 3 people would probably have died long ago. In his hiding place, Chu Yang watched the 7 people quickly leave and could not help but secretly nod in his heart. These 7 people are indeed worth making friends with. No need to worry about being stabbed in the back. TSK, that Le Guanyu is quite smart. After eating his brain, he'll probably become much smarter. Little Six laughed strangely. Chu Yang was speechless. It seemed that eating the monkey's brain had cast a shadow in Little Six's heart, and his resentment was very deep. Swoosh. Chu Yang chose a place and leaped, leading Duan Zhengji, Zhu Yanghua, and Yi Kangjian over. Just as Chu Yang, Le Guanyu, and the others parted ways, in the southeast direction of the thunder space. Wang. The void fluctuated, and a teleportation gate appeared, quickly turning from illusory to solid. Flames danced within, and in the blink of an eye, figures walked out of the teleportation gate one after another. The people who appeared were all arrogant, and there was also a sense of arrogance between their brows. Their strength was extraordinary, and they were all in the ascending soul tier. We're here, this is the thunder space. The leader, a young man in his 20s, raised his head and said. The aura on this person was extremely majestic, much more vigorous than the others. Just by standing there was a feeling that his feet were rooted, as if they were connected to the earth and merged into one, making it impossible to shake. He was in the 4th layer of the ascending soul tier. Brothers and sisters of the Dragon Tiger sect, are you not here yet? Wang. As if in response to his question, ripples appeared in the void again, and another teleportation gate appeared. Disciples in white robes and gold crowns walked out of the gate. The front of their robes was decorated with the word dragon or tiger. Greetings, senior brothers of the Soul Devourer clan. A disciple of the Longhu sect immediately bowed when he saw the 6 members of the Soul Devourer clan. His attitude was extremely respectful, even more so than when he met his senior brothers in his own sect. There's no need to be so polite. Among the Soul Devourer clan, the 4th level ascending Soul Realm youth waved his hand. He seemed to be used to the respectful attitude of the Dragon Tiger sect's disciples. Senior Brother Yang of the Dragon Tiger sect hasn't arrived yet. Senior Brother Yang, it seems that you have something to discuss with Senior Brother Murong, so you will be a little late. A first-tier Chi Soul Realm disciple from the Longhu sect said. "Oh, is it senior brother Murong Huan?" The Soul Devourer clan youth seemed to be deep in thought, and immediately stopped talking. Rumble. In the blink of an eye, the void shook, and a teleportation gate appeared, emitting a majestic aura. Boom. An incomparably noble foot stepped out of the teleportation gate. When this foot stepped out, the entire earth seemed to tremble, followed by a strong pressure that made the disciples of the Dragon Tiger sect and Soul Devourer clan feel suffocated. The strong spiritual pressure seemed to be strangling their necks, lifting them up. Bang. Chapter 355. The person on the left had a daoist robe and a star crown. His aura was lofty, and as soon as he appeared, it was as if the crown prince had appeared. Many people had to kneel down, giving off an extremely dignified and oppressive aura. His eyes and brows looked very sharp, and when he raised his hand, he gave people a strong feeling of power. The person on the right had a golden crown on his head and was dressed in green. As soon as he appeared, he gave people a feeling of nobility and arrogance. However, this kind of nobility and arrogance was completely covered by a fierce killing intent and killing intent. It was as if his entire body was covered in blood. The Soul Devourer clan disciple on the left was filled with killing intent. This person was definitely not from the Longhu sect. At all times, he was also exuding a sharp killing intent, as if there were countless vengeful spirits and ghosts around him. The Soul Devourer clan's sect guarding soul devouring technique was definitely not inferior to the Longhu sect's White Tiger's killing intent. Instead, it would be even fiercer. Greetings, Senior Brother Yang, Senior Brother Murong. The disciples of the Longhu sect and Soul Devourer clan present bowed and greeted, their voices loud and clear. In the world of sects, the hierarchy was very strict. These two people obviously had extraordinary positions, and the aura they revealed was also at the 5th level of the ascending soul realm. I'm sure everyone is clear about the person who is going to obtain the heavenly lightning earthly fire fruit this time. The Soul Devourer clan disciple who came out last was the previously mentioned Murong Huan. His eyes slowly swept across everyone. In the thunder space, there should be 6 heavenly lightning earthly fire fruits this time. However, there are 2 heavenly lightning beasts that are comparable to the 5th or even 6th level of the ascending soul realm guarding the fruits. The heavenly lightning earthly fire fruits cannot be lost. The disciples of our 2 sects must work together, understand? Yes, Senior Brother Murong. Everyone said in unison. The heavenly lightning beasts are extremely powerful and are the favorites of thunder. It's best that none of you have any ideas. The only person from the Longhu sect who was comparable to Murong Huan was Yang Cheng. He also said coldly, the heavenly lightning earthly fire fruit is not allowed. That's why I'm joining forces with Brother Murong. Once we're done, we'll definitely reward all of you. The heavenly thunder earthly fire fruit was nurtured in a place like the thunder space. It contained the ultimate destructive power of thunder and fire, which was reversed into the power of life. It contained an astonishing amount of essence. After swallowing it, not only would one's life essence become extremely vigorous, but one's body would also be strengthened greatly. At the same time, he could also control the power of thunder and fire. However, this was not important. The heavenly lightning and earthly fire contained the power of thunder and fire. The thunder-quenching fire refinement could at least raise the martial spirit by 3 ranks. Murong Huan and Yang Cheng had also heard that the heavenly thunder earthly fire fruit was a special fruit nurtured in the thunder space. After swallowing it, one might be able to sense the mysteries of the entire thunder space. If that was the case, this was the most precious part of the heavenly thunder earthly fire fruit. It could be used to observe the rules of the small world in the thunder space. It would be greatly beneficial. At least in the future, it would be easier for one to comprehend heaven and earth. Therefore, the 2 of them coveted the heavenly lightning earthly fire fruit. They could not afford to lose it. Therefore, the 2 of them had joined forces to ensure that nothing would go wrong. It's about time. Let's go. Yang Cheng and Murong Huan gave a warning and moved. At the same time, Chu Yang finally stopped in a deep valley. This was the place he had chosen for Duan Zhengji, Zhu Yanghua, and Yi Kangjian to die. You don't want to kill me. Come out. Chu Yang was like a javelin stuck in the ground. His long robe fluttered, and his cold voice resounded in the surroundings. As soon as his voice fell, swoosh 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 sounds could be heard. 3 figures immediately flew out from 3 directions in the valley and landed beside Chu Yang. They were Duan Zhangji, Zhu Yanghua, and Yi Kangjian. Chapter 356. Little bastard, you've got guts. Leaving the 7 Stars sect, it's fine if you didn't run away, but you actually dared to lure us here. This will be your burial ground today. Mph, you think too highly of this bastard. Those people from the 7 Stars sect clearly shook him off. They know that they can't get involved in the internal disputes of the 5 Elements sect. This time, bastard, you won't be able to escape even if you have wings. Duan Zhengji, Zhu Yanghua, and Yi Kangjian surrounded Chu Yang. Their expressions were mocking as they sneered. However, although the 3 of them said that, they were still puzzled and doubtful. Since Chu Yang had discovered them, why did he not run away? Instead, he walked right into their trap and took the initiative to come to them. This was obviously very strange. However, the 3 of them sensed that Chu Yang's strength was only at LV3 Chi Soul stage, so they were completely relieved. Perhaps only arrogance and stupidity could explain Chu Yang's actions. You think too highly of yourselves. It's just 3 dogs. Do I need to hide? Chu Yang put his hands behind his back and was extremely disdainful. He looked disdainfully at the 3 of them. He really did not take them seriously at all. You're courting death. You're just a new inner court disciple who's only at LV3 Chi Soul stage. How dare you act so presumptuously in front of the 3 of us? Do you want to die faster? The 3 of them were furious. Their expressions turned cold, and their eyes were overflowing with coldness. Show me your trump card so that you won't regret it when you die, Duan Zhangji said coldly. Duan Zhangji said coldly, but he did not put Chu Yang in his eyes at all. Although he thought that Chu Yang would definitely have some tricks up his sleeve, this would be more interesting. It would be more appropriate to completely crush the tricks of this lowly bastard and let this lowly bastard die in despair. My trump card. Chu Yang laughed. I reckon that you 3 dogs don't have such ability. You're not worthy. Arrogant. Yi Kangjian sneered and snorted. I have to admit that as a new inner court disciple, your performance is really shocking. You're only at LV3 Chi Soul stage, but you're still going to die. However, you're going to die in the end. You shouldn't have tried to meddle with junior sister Aoshue and angered senior brother An. As Rang spoke, he opened his palm, and a silver bell appeared in his palm, emitting a dazzling silver light. This was a high-grade Chi Soul weapon. Almost at the same time, Duan Zhengji and Zhu Yanghua each took out a large golden cauldron and a small brass pagoda. Both of them were high-grade weapons of the Chi Soul realm. With 3 high-grade Chi Soul weapons in hand, the 3 of them looked even more playful. Ha ha ha. Bastard. You dare to encroach on junior sister Ao Shui? This is your path to death. Even if you have 9 lives, it won't be enough for you to die. The 3 of them burst out laughing. They looked at Chu Yang as if they were looking at a dead man. Mph, you don't know what you're talking about. Do you think that you can defeat me just because you're at the 9th tier of the Chi Soul realm and have 3 high-grade Chi Soul realm weapons in your hands? Chu Yang's expression was calm. He sneered and looked at them with disdain. And Deity only has these few tricks up his sleeve. As expected, he's just a nobody. And Deity is not worthy of my attention. And Deity is really not worthy of my attention. Duan Zhengji, Zhu Yanghua, and Yi Kangjian burst out laughing. Bastard, you must have lost your mind. And Deity is just a nobody? I can't believe you can say that. If the true disciples of the 5 Elements sect are so useless in your eyes, then what are you? Maybe this bastard thinks that his big brother, Chu Fei, is not a cripple. He's still the unparalleled saint from before. The 3 of them did not hide the mockery and disdain in their eyes. Unparalleled saint. Big brother is the saint. Chu Yang was shocked. He really did not know this. He thought to himself, looks like I didn't let these 3 live for so long for nothing. Duan Zhengji, Zhu Yanghua, and Yi Kangjian had unknowingly revealed a huge secret to Chu Yang. When I get back to the sect, I'll have to do a thorough investigation. Chu Yang immediately frowned. If his big brother was the saint, then his situation in the Five Elements sect would be even more complicated. Ha ha ha, you bastard, are you surprised that senior brother An is a true disciple? Duan Zhangji sneered. He took a step forward and said, don't say that I didn't give you a chance. If you cripple your cultivation now, break your hamstrings, tie yourself up, and kneel in front of senior brother An and beg for mercy, senior brother An might be soft-hearted and give you a fate worse than death. Chapter 357. Kneel and beg for mercy? Chu Yang laughed mockingly. You three pieces of trash. Even if Ender who was here right now, he wouldn't have the ability to do so. Today, I'll teach you how to behave. Whoosh. As soon as he finished speaking, Chu Yang suddenly charged towards Duan Zhengji like a flash of lightning. Humph, you don't know your place. If you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Duan Zhengji laughed nastily. His body leaped, and he also sent a palm strike towards Chu Yang. His palm strike was majestic and earth-shattering. He was determined to kill Chu Yang with one strike. Boom. The two palms collided. This was a true competition of strength, and there was no room for tricks. Duan Zhengji's entire body surged with true origin, and he was about to take the opportunity to kill Chu Yang with one strike. However, at this moment, he suddenly saw a hint of mockery and ridicule flash through Chu Yang's eyes. Oh no, I forgot that he's a body cultivator. Duan Zhengji was shocked. Although he was in the 9th tier of the Chi Soul tier, he only had the strength of 9 elephants. He also used true origin, but he looked down on Chu Yang, and did not use all of it. By the time he realized that something was wrong, it was already too late. As expected, he only heard Chu Yang's cold laugh. Humph, idiot, you actually dare to compete with me in terms of strength. You really don't know your place, and you still want to kill people with this kind of brain. Chu Yang's aura suddenly surged, and in the blink of an eye, it surpassed Duan Zhengji. He flipped his palm, and with a rumble, a strong force shook the heavens and earth, and smashed Duan Zhengji onto the ground. A large crater instantly appeared on the ground, and dust soared into the sky, stirring up smoke and dust everywhere. Whoosh! Chu Yang moved, charging towards Duan Zhengji like a flash of lightning, intending to kill him immediately. Senior brother Duan, Zhu Yonghua and Yi Kangjian were both shocked. The golden cauldron and the brass pagoda immediately flew out, swaying in the air, and became the size of a small mountain, smashing towards Chu Yang. Boom! The air was swept away, and the wind was raging. The golden rays of light and the brass-colored rays of light were similar to each other. In fact, it seemed as if two golden suns had appeared in the void. And this gave Chu Yang a great pressure. It's indeed impossible to deal with someone at the 9th level of the Chi Soul realm without using the third transition of the primitive martial technique. The opportunity was fleeting. Chu Yang hesitated for a moment. At this moment, Zhu Yonghua and Yi Kangjian's great golden cauldron and brass pagoda had already arrived, forming a joint attack. At the critical moment, the two men's movements were extremely swift. They did not hold back at all as they attacked Chu Yang. They had to prevent Chu Yang from attacking Duan Zhengji, or even if Chu Yang managed to kill Duan Zhengji, they had to kill Chu Yang immediately. Two-headed hellhound. Zhu Yonghua roared out. The true essence in his body surged and exploded violently. With a series of roars, a huge black hound with two heads formed in the blink of an eye. The two heads of this giant dog were full of ferocious fangs. Saliva was dripping down from those white fangs. As they breathed, the air seemed to be corroded with a sizzling sound. One of the dog heads had a ferocious mouth with flames, while the other dog head had a black aura in its mouth. Its ferocious flame was monstrous as it pounced on Chu Yang. Yi Kangjian, on the other hand, put two of his fingers together. Golden light flickered on his fingertips. With a point of his finger, a brass divine spear was formed. It pierced through the void and directly pierced towards Chu Yang's throat in a ruthless manner. Two high-grade Chi Soul weapons, together with the two-headed hellhound and the brass-colored divine spear, smashed down like a storm. At this moment, astral winds whistled around Chu Yang. He had originally planned on using the third transition of the primitive martial technique to directly kill the three of them, but his sharp divine sense sensed that someone was observing him in the dark. He immediately tensed up. Who is that in the dark? What is his identity? If I kill these three, this person will send the news back to the sect. I will definitely be severely punished. Then, I will definitely die. Chu Yang instantly dodged a lot. What made him especially fearful was that the person in the dark had shocking strength. He was at least in the ascending soul realm, but he was far away, so he couldn't determine what level. This is going to be troublesome. Chu Yang frowned and said in his heart, fine. Even though I managed to set up the sword shadow formation under the pressure of the Hellfire Evil Dragon, demonic beasts are different from humans. Under this kind of pressure, I'll confirm whether I can set up the formation with ease. Then, in the future, even if I face an ascending soul realm expert, I can use the array to completely hide the third transition of the primitive martial technique. Chu Yang didn't panic. He had killed more than a dozen ascending soul realm Hellfire Evil Dragons, so how could he put these three people in his eyes? However, he was extremely fearful of the person in the dark. Whoosh! His body moved, and it was as if he had exploded. Suddenly, 10 figures appeared and dodged in all directions. In the blink of an eye, he had escaped from the joint attack of Zhu Yanghua and Yi Kangjian. What? What kind of movement technique is this? True and false, I actually don't know which one is real. Chapter 358. Bastard, you are indeed a genius, but unfortunately, you still have to die. I would like to see how long you can hide. Duan Zhengji's face flushed red. Just now, he had almost been killed by Chu Yang, and to him, that was the greatest humiliation. His eyes flashed fiercely, and he roared at the other two, Junior Brother Yi, Junior Brother Zhu, don't hold back, this bastard is troublesome. Is that so? So what if I don't hold back, I'll just hide for you to see. Chu Yang smirked coldly. Duan Zhengji and the others were only playing games with him, and their end was already decided. As soon as he finished speaking, Chu Yang's whole body flashed with a dazzling light. In just an instant, the true essence in his hands surged, and dazzling formation seals appeared continuously. In an instant, 7 to 8 formation seals flew out, dancing around him like light butterflies. In an instant, Duan Zhengji and the others looked as if they had seen a ghost. Every time they formed a seal, 7 to 8 formation seals were formed. What especially surprised the three of them was that Chu Yang was not only shockingly talented in martial arts, he was actually an array master. Level 3 formation seals. When the 7 to 8 formation seals surrounding Chu Yang flashed like stars in the night sky, the three of them sensed it, and their expressions changed drastically. There was even a hint of shock in their eyes. Though the three of them were not array masters, they still had a certain amount of experience. They knew that Chu Yang was setting up a level 3 formation, and once it was successfully set up, the power would really be earth-shattering, and even an ascending soul tier could be killed. Level 3 formation, level 3 array master? Duan Zhengji's voice came out from between his teeth. It was a trembling voice, and fear caused an extremely thick killing intent to erupt from his eyes. This time, he had truly sensed a deadly aura. Although he did not know whether Chu Yang could set up that level 3 array formation, there was no doubt that Chu Yang made him feel like he was about to die. We definitely can't let him set up the formation. Zhu Yanghua and Yi Kangjian were also roaring in their hearts, their killing intent surging. Although a level 3 formation was extremely powerful once it was set up, a formation master also had the greatest flaw, and that was that it took time to set up. In addition, during the process of setting up a formation, the formation master could not be disturbed too much. Now that Chu Yang was in the middle of a battle with him, he actually dared to set up a formation in front of the three of them. In their opinion, Chu Yang was either extremely stupid or was risking his life. You're courting death. Yi Kangjian's face grew colder and colder. The three of them no longer hesitated. Their bodies moved, turning into 3 streaks of light that shot towards Chu Yang. At the same time, they punched out with their fists, their vigorous true yuan sweeping out. The two-headed demon hound, the brass divine spear, the lion, the golden cauldron, the silver bell, and the brass pagoda were all aimed at Chu Yang. However, facing such an attack from the three of them, Chu Yang's face did not waver at all. There was even a trace of a smile on his face. Above his body, True Yuan spread out, and in an instant, his figure blurred. Immediately, many figures appeared, rushing out from all directions. Each figure was extremely fast, as if they were all Chu Yang. Because of their fast speed, they were blurred, leaving behind after images. Boom! The two-headed devil dog, the brass divine spear, the lion, and the three people's weapons all carried extremely sharp and heavy vital energy. They either whizzed past Chu Yang's body or smashed into his afterimages. They simply couldn't touch his body in the slightest. So fast. The three people's pupils couldn't help but tremble. They felt that Chu Yang was like a little bird that was teasing the three of them. They were both shocked and angry, and they couldn't help but grit their teeth. Chu Yang was really dodging for them to see. He was really going to set up a formation while dodging the three people's crazy attacks. A formation master of this level was definitely a genius on the path of formations, a monster. Chapter 359. Swallow Sparrow Skill. Flowing Light Movement Skill. Swimming Fish Movement Skill. The three of them trembled and their speed suddenly increased to the maximum. With a swoosh, they cut through the air and closed in on Chu Yang at an extremely shocking speed. The three of them were like a sparrow, a ray of flowing light, and a fish swaying in the sea. Their speed was extremely fast. They quickly closed in on Chu Yang again. Immediately, a fierce look flashed across their eyes. They each attacked with their fists and palms, aiming for Chu Yang's vital points. Not only that, but their weapons and true origin skills also attacked once again. At this moment, it was as if the air was about to explode. However, just as the three of them were about to touch Chu Yang's body, the latter seemed to have sensed it in advance. With a sway of his body, he instantly created many illusions and rushed out in all directions. It was extremely easy, as if he was doing it with ease. Damn it! The trio's complexion changed. Chu Yang's movement technique was not only extremely fast, but he was also able to predict the trio's attacks and dodge them in advance, causing all of their attacks to miss. What was even more frightening was that his illusory figure was real and fake, causing the trio to be unable to distinguish between real and fake. I don't believe that a bastard like you can keep dodging. Destroy all of his illusions. Duan Zhengji gritted his teeth and his attacks suddenly became fierce. His hands were like the claws of a lion when it was hunting. The sharp wind from his claws tore through the air and attacked Chu Yang from all directions. Zhu Yanghua and Yi Kangjian were the same. This time, they did their best. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. Faced with such attacks from the three of them, Chu Yang's body blurred again and created even more illusions. His movement skill also became more and more ghostly, and the range of his escape also increased. It was impossible to destroy all of them unless the attack covered all of the surrounding attacks. You guys are really weak. At this time, Chu Yang actually still had the mood to mock them. Looking for his voice, the three of them confirmed for the first time that it was his real body. At this moment, in the violent airflow, Chu Yang was like a leaf floating in a storm. No matter how the wind raged, he was not injured at all. As he swayed, he seemed to be mocking the incompetence of the wind and rain. At the same time, within this short period of time, the three of them discovered that there were already more than 20 formation seals flying around Chu Yang's body, and they had already begun to gradually merge into the air. Extremely astonishing true yuan undulations were constantly being emitted, and the essence of the entire world was converging towards that direction. How is this possible? How can he form seals so quickly? When the three of them saw this scene, they were completely terrified. Who would live and who would die today would depend on whether Chu Yang could successfully arrange this array formation. They were already a little flustered. It was obvious that the three of them had already foreseen the outcome. They seemed to have no way of interfering with Chu Yang. The latter was simply too terrifying. Not only was he able to evade the attacks of three people at the 9th level of the Chi Soul stage, he was even able to form seals and arrange the array formation so quickly. All of this was completely beyond the imagination of the three of them. The Chu Yang in front of them seemed to be able to do anything. Swoosh! Duan Zhengji's figure suddenly stopped. At this moment, his face was faintly distorted, and the fear in his eyes seemed to have condensed into a solid form. He stared fixedly at Chu Yang. At Chu Yang's side, the diagram of the array formation had already appeared. The air was distorted, and faintly, a huge array formation was taking shape. He could no longer stop Chu Yang from completing the arrangement of the array formation. Swoosh! Zhu Yanghua and Yi Kangjian also stopped. They were also at their wits' end. Dong! At this moment, Chu Yang was like a god. When he landed on the ground from mid-air, the earth shook violently. This feeling, I've touched it again. But what exactly is this? Chu Yang muttered to himself, as if Duan Zhengji and the other two did not exist at all. Just now, when he was being attacked crazily by the three of them, his mind remained extremely calm, as if he had nothing to do with the entire battle. That was an extremely rational and calm state, and a state where he had everything under control. This kind of feeling vaguely made Chu Yang feel as if he had returned to the feeling when he was fighting against the two Hellfire evil dragons at the third level of the Chi Soul stage. At that time, it was even more dangerous than now. He tried his best to remain calm. When he was arranging the array formation, he suddenly felt as if he had jumped out of the world. The world seemed to be a chessboard in his eyes, and everything on the chessboard was clear to him. There were no secrets in his eyes. Just now, he had touched it again. However, he quickly laughed bitterly. I was happy for nothing. After pondering for a while, he completely understood that kind of feeling. This was because the array formation had become his eyes, and had become his perception. This was like a spider laying out a web. How could the spider not perceive everything in the spider web? Duan Zhengji and the other two were now the three prey in his spider web. Of course, if these three prey were strong enough, they would naturally be able to break free. Chapter 360. Chu Yang completely ignored the three of them, but the three of them were no longer angry, only shocked. When Chu Yang looked at them, the three of them felt as if their lives were already in Chu Yang's hands. It was as if he wanted them to die, they would die immediately, and if he wanted them to live, they would live immediately. How can it be like this? Is he even human? He can actually set up a formation like this? Doesn't that mean that he can even easily kill ascending soul tier cultivators now? Are we really chasing after a newly promoted disciple? Looks like the three of us are going to die here today. The three of them were not just shocked, they were practically terrified. They exchanged a look, and saw the fear and shock in each other's eyes. Their opponent was only a newly promoted disciple, but the ability that he had displayed was actually so shocking. Not only was he a cultivator of both Qi and Qi, he was actually also a formation master. Junior brother Zhu, junior brother Yi, I will bring up the rear. One of you two must escape and return to report to the sec. Duan Zhengji roared, and at the same time, charged toward Chu Yang. Chu Yang knew Duan Zhengji's intention the moment he heard this. As long as one of them managed to escape back to the Five Elements sect and report this matter back, Chu Yang would have to die for killing his fellow disciple. Good plan, but it's useless. I'll send you on your way now. Hong. Chu Yang did not activate the formation. Instead, he used the formation to increase his ability. Rolling power of the heavens and earth surged into his body through the formation. Instantly, his true origin trembled, and the majestic true origin covered the heavens and the earth, toppling mountains and overturning seas. The power of his physical body also rose rapidly because of the power of the heavens and earth that was poured into the formation. In an instant, it reached the power of 10 dragons, and was still rising. This was merely the change in direction of the formation. Shua. Chu Yang moved, and faced Duan Zhengji head-on. Hong Long Long. This attack was earth-shattering, and the majestic aura was as if even the heavens were being torn apart. Not good. Duan Zhengji was shocked, and an unprecedented sense of danger surged in his heart. He shouted fiercely, and used all his true qi to attack with all his might. Senior brother Duan. Zhu Yanghua and Yi Kangjian were so shocked that their hands and feet turned cold. They screamed and also attacked Chu Yang with all their might. However, just as the attack was about to land on Chu Yang, the space around them suddenly distorted as a formless barrier appeared, blocking the attack. At this moment, there was no way Duan Zhengji could withstand Chu Yang's all-out attack. With just a single strike, Meng Hao let out a loud cry and stomped on the ground, smashing him into a pile of minced meat. Senior brother Duan. When Zhu Yanghua and Yi Kangjian saw this, their eyes almost popped out of their sockets. With the help of the formation, Chu Yang was now within the range of the formation. Even if someone in the third layer of the Qi Soul Realm were to come, they would not be a match for him. Humph. Did you think that the 3 of you would be able to defeat me like the 8 of you in the Huanmo Secret Realm? Unfortunately, you are still not good enough. After Chu Yang killed Duan Zhengji with one move, a monstrous murderous aura emanated from his body. Chu Yang, don't be complacent. You have already committed a heinous crime by killing your fellow disciple. Senior brother Duan will not die in vain. I will make you accompany him in death. Yi Kangjian gritted his teeth. Although he was furious, he felt that the situation was hopeless. Even if he stayed behind, he would not be a match for Meng Hao. It was better to leave first and leave a useful body for revenge in the future. Swoosh. He moved at lightning speed. With a bang, he crashed into a giant barrier formed by the formation and was directly bounced back. Ridiculous. You dare to come after me, so I can't kill you. Moreover, a cold glint shot out from Chu Yang's eyes. Do you think I will let you escape? Do you think you can still escape? Boom. The space around them shook violently. The majestic True Yuan covered the sky and covered the earth, enveloping the 2 brothers. At the same time, Chu Yang stretched out his hand. With a flash of light, a giant lion claw broke through the air and grabbed toward them. Lion palm! The 2 of them were shocked. They were almost scared out of their wits. They recognized at a glance that this was Duan Zhengji's True Yuan skill. However, the person who was using it at this moment was Chu Yang. This was simply more frightening than Chu Yang fighting 1 against 3. Junior brother Yi, leave quickly. A look of despair flashed across Zhu Yanghua's eyes. He shouted fiercely and suddenly attacked. He threw Yi Kangjian aside and attacked at the same time to stop Chu Yang. The situation now was in Chu Yang's hands. There was no way to end this peacefully. One of them had to cover the retreat. Boom. Zhu Yanghua couldn't even withstand 1 round of Chu Yang's all-out attack. He immediately exploded and died. Not even his bones were left. However, at this moment, Yi Kangjian seemed to have found a chance to completely escape. However, suddenly, a wave of sword light shot up into the sky. In an instant, it swept toward him and drowned him. Yi Kangjian instantly let out a shrill scream. He was directly killed by the wave of sword light and sword light. In an instant, he was no longer breathing. Chu Yang killed the 3 people. He raised his hand and moved his foot lightly as if he was casually doing it. It was as if he didn't even know when he had crushed an ant to death after killing Duan Zhengji and the other 2, his momentum also climbed to the peak. It was because everything was far from over. Killing these 3 people was just the beginning. Next was the real test of life and death. Chapter 361. Shua. From the top of that ancient tree, a white figure flew over like a white crane spreading its wings, instantly landing in front of Chu Yang. White hair, white eyebrows, white clothes, white boots, and completely white. Though his hair and eyebrows were white, he was definitely not an old man. At most, he was a young man in his mid-20s. His life force was extremely vigorous, as if it was as vast and vigorous as the ocean. The lines on his face were very hard, and his whole face was extremely stiff, as if it had been frozen, without any hint of expression. His face was rough, but lacked a sense of 3-dimensional. At first glance, it was as if that face was just a piece of stone. Chu Yang's sharp divine sense sensed him, and he secretly exclaimed in his mind, cultivation level of the 3rd level of the ascending soul tier. He could not be sure, because his intuition had sensed great danger. His divine sense fell on the white-robed young man, and he seemed to have seen clearly what was in the fog, but also seemed to have not seen clearly. So strong. Chu Yang's divine sense was astonishing. This was the first time that he had not been able to see clearly through someone. A great sense of danger rose in his heart, as if he had suddenly encountered an unknown enemy. However, he did not know his background at all, so he had no confidence in defeating him at all. Why can't I watch as the three of them die? Du and Zhengji and the other two are not worthy of me saving them, the white-robed young man said. His voice was very cold, and his blood was even colder, and his heart was even colder. This was an extremely cold-blooded and cruel person. Chu Yang's eyes narrowed. He realized that he had encountered an extremely dangerous enemy this time. At the same time, he had also obtained a lot of information from the white-robed young man. The white-robed young man knew the three people that Chu Yang had just killed, which meant that the white-robed young man should be a disciple of the Five Elements sect. Previously, I was not too sure. Chu Yang's voice could not help but turn cold. But looking at it now, you have indeed come to kill me. Kill you. The white-robed young man was obviously mocking and sneering, but that stone-like face of his actually did not show the slightest bit of expression. It was really a little strange. His voice was also cold and hard. You are not worthy. Killing you is only something that I will do in passing. Pa. The young man in white swung his sleeve, and it was like a whip hitting the air, making a loud noise. There was a hint of laughter in his voice, but there was still no expression on his face. Actually, I should be thanking you. I owe an Russian a favor. He wants to kill you, so I can use this as an excuse to enter the space of lightning. But my real target is the heavenly lightning earthfire fruit, not you. He said in a mocking tone. Heavenly lightning earthly fire fruit? Chu Yang could not help but narrow his eyes. It seemed that the Seven Stars sect was not the only one who knew about the heavenly lightning earthly fire fruit. Chu Yang, right? The young man in white looked at Chu Yang sarcastically. You think too highly of yourself. Humph. Chu Yang couldn't help but snort coldly. A mere ascending soul tier 3rd layer, someone like you wants to kill me? Oh. The young man in white was not angry. He only said coldly, do you think that you can deal with me just because you set up a level 3 formation without triggering it? You are really naive. It's enough to kill you. Chu Yang's reply was very simple. He did not hide his killing intent. A mere ascending soul tier 3rd layer, it was not like he had never killed one before. You still want to kill me? The young man in white's cold and hard voice was instantly filled with ridicule. Do you really think that I am only at the ascending soul tier 3rd layer? Boom, boom, boom. The young man in white's aura instantly rose by 2 levels, ascending soul tier 4th layer, ascending soul tier 5th layer. He was actually at the ascending soul tier 5th layer. Not good. Chu Yang was shocked. At the ascending soul tier 4th layer, he had the ability to deal with him, but at the ascending soul tier 5th layer, there was no chance at all. But now, it was too late to escape. Kneel. Chapter 362. Dong, dong, dong. In an instant, Chu Yang realized that his brain, his consciousness, and the earth beneath his feet seemed to have been replaced by a huge prehistoric beast. Its huge and extremely heavy body made the earth unable to bear its weight. The earth was constantly cracking, shaking, and shaking under its feet. It seemed as if it was about to completely burst apart. Boom. Immediately after, a huge soul pressure rushed into his spiritual world. It was as if a monster had suddenly broken through the door and barged into his home. The great millstone of celestial nature. Chu Yang visualized the millstone of celestial turbidity, hoping to use it as a buffer. However, the millstone of celestial turbidity crumbled instantly. His face couldn't help but turn pale, and he was shocked. The soul pressure of the 5th layer of the ascending soul realm is indeed terrifying. It's not something I can withstand now. Clang, clang, clang. The saber and sword martial spirits shook, and the sound of the saber and sword was loud. The flood dragon martial spirit also let out a roar. With a bang, the sword heart heavenly fire exploded with a huge flame, and the sound of flowing water also followed. The sword heart heavenly fire and saber crystal earth water also completely exploded at this time, and flames and cold currents surged out. Little Six and Little Black also roared. They were like a group of puppies, working together to besiege the monster that broke into their house. At this time, the advantage of having many martial spirits was completely revealed. The saber and sword martial spirits, the flood dragon martial spirit, and Little Six and Little Black were also his martial spirits. Together with the sword heart heavenly fire and saber crystal earth water, these two divine items, they actually resisted the terrifying soul pressure for a short time. But this was far from enough. They only resisted for a while, and then completely collapsed. However, this was already shocking enough. The white-clothed young man's face revealed an astonished expression. In the past, when he used soul pressure on those in the Chi soul realm, who could resist it? In an instant, the opponent would be forced to kneel, and even directly erase the opponent's martial spirit, seriously injure the opponent's spirit, and instantly turn the opponent into a fool, or even a living dead. And this was the strength of the ascending soul realm. Soul pressure directly affected the martial spirit and spirit of a martial artist, and its power was the most shocking. If one was careless, the martial spirit would be destroyed, and the spirit would be seriously injured. But Chu Yang was actually able to resist the pressure of his soul pressure. It was really shocking. Genius martial spirit. Idiot martial spirit. Chu Yang's destiny twin's martial soul completely erupted. Due to the intrusion of the enormous soul pressure, they were thoroughly enraged. When the two martial souls moved, it seemed as though the two brothers of this family had appeared. Together with the group of puppies, swords, and monsters, they were tangling with each other. The genius martial spirit and the idiot martial spirit were indeed very powerful. The astonishment on the white-clothed youth's face was even more pronounced. This was actually the result. He did not expect this at all, and his mind was violently shaken. This Chu Yang is indeed worthy of being the unparalleled Saint Child's younger brother. He is indeed extraordinary. Chu Yang, you're only at the third layer of the Chi soul realm, yet you're able to withstand my soul pressure. You've truly surprised me. The white-clothed youth's cold voice drilled into Chu Yang's ears. Remember, the person who will kill you is Ding Wuji. Kneel down before me, resistance is futile. Wang. The white-clothed youth's soul pressure suddenly increased, and 5 divine rings appeared between his eyebrows. Those were the martial spirit rings, representing the rank of his martial spirit. A 5th-grade martial spirit. After his soul pressure was blocked by Chu Yang, the white-clothed youth who called himself Ding Wuji released an even more terrifying soul pressure. He wanted to heavily injure Chu Yang's spirit in an instant and directly kill him. He was extremely ruthless. Rumble. Within Chu Yang's spiritual world, it was like a landslide. Large rocks rolled down, forming a huge river of rocks that rushed into his spiritual world. How could he resist this? Damn it. Chapter 363. In the face of a natural disaster like a landslide, the only choice was to escape. Normal people would not be able to escape, but Chu Yang could. Logically speaking, for other people, there should be nowhere to escape, but Chu Yang did. In an instant, Chu Yang's genius martial spirit, idiot martial spirit, sword heart heavenly flame, blade crystal earthly water, blade sword martial spirit, flood dragon martial spirit, little six, and little black all escaped into the spiritual world in his Yantian aperture. Rumble. Rolling boulders arrived in an instant. Chu Yang's second home was completely destroyed and submerged. Chu Yang could only escape into the spiritual world in his Yantian aperture in a panic. Rolling boulders rushed towards him. At this moment, Chu Yang was forced into a dead end. He almost suffocated. Would this spiritual world work? Rumble. Countless boulders broke through, but once they fell into the spiritual world in his Yantian aperture, they all floated up like dust. Haha, I blocked it. Chu Yang did not feel the slightest bit of pressure from the soul pressure. What? Chu Yang was actually able to resist the soul suppression. Ding Wuji's body violently trembled as if it had been electrocuted. His mind was fiercely shaken. This was simply too inconceivable, too unbelievable. This Chu Yang is not just unusual, he is simply a monster. Today, I have already offended him. If I do not kill him, I will definitely die without a burial place in the future. Many thoughts surged in Ding Wuji's mind. Especially when he saw that Chu Yang was only at the third layer of the Chi Soul realm, he could not help but feel a great fear in his heart. A monster like Chu Yang was simply too terrifying. You are merely at the third layer of the Chi Soul realm. Your martial spirit has not improved, but you are actually able to block the soul pressure of my 5th layer of the ascending soul realm. You are very strong. Ding Wuji's voice was still cold and hard, but it could not hide his shock. His killing intent was also extremely strong. Geniuses usually die young. Chu Yang is also the same. Kneel down, Wang. Between his eyebrows, a buzzing sound rang out, stronger than any of the previous fluctuations. At the same time, his martial spirit even flew out, but it was wrapped up in a ball of light. Even with Chu Yang's keen perception and sharp eagle-like vision, he couldn't see what kind of martial spirit it was. Boom! Like a silver bottle bursting with water, an even more powerful soul pressure pressed down on Chu Yang. It could be seen in the void that the soul pressure actually formed a shockwave, which fiercely rushed into Chu Yang's spiritual world. Ding Wuji no longer held back his soul pressure. Rumble. In an instant, Chu Yang only felt the world shake and rumble. Soon after, it was as if a magnificent army of thousands of men and horses, an invincible army, had launched an attack on him alone. His expression changed in shock, and the joy and luck he had just now completely disappeared. He had no other choice but to hide in the spiritual world formed by the innate aperture acupoints. I should be able to block it. Otherwise, I will really be consigned to eternal damnation. Rumble. This terrifying soul pressure quickly rushed into Chu Yang's spiritual world. In an instant, this terrifying soul pressure broke into this spiritual world, but it was as if a magnificent army of thousands of men and horses had suddenly fallen into a bottomless abyss. Shio. The celestial disk slowly rotated from the celestial disk, completely crushing and grinding the soul pressure. At this moment, Chu Yang felt that his spiritual power had obviously improved, and so did his martial spirit. Ha ha, as expected, I blocked it. Chu Yang was ecstatic and excited. The spiritual world opened from the blocked innate aperture acupoints was actually so amazing. At this moment, he felt that not to mention a 5th layer ascending soul realm, even a 9th layer ascending soul realm martial artist wouldn't be able to do anything to him. At this moment, he also understood in his heart. No wonder when I opened this spiritual world, Big Brother was so shocked even though he didn't know that my innate aperture acupoints had completely transformed into a spiritual world. There is indeed a great mystery in it, and even a great fortune. Chapter 364. Impossible. How is this possible? How did he do it? How did he do it? A mere 3rd level Chi Soul Realm martial artist actually withstood my 5th level ascending Soul Realm soul pressure. Ding Wuji's stone-like face seemed to come alive at this moment, twisting and turning. Blue veins popped out and pulsed, and his cold eyes bulged out like a bow that was fully drawn, ready to shoot out. Unbelievable, horrifying, fantastical. These were Ding Wuji's feelings at this moment. His heart, his entire being, was about to curl up. Ha ha. Chu Yang could not help but laugh heartily. The moment of life and death had caused him to feel great fear, and had also allowed him to gain a great understanding. His state of mind had also been ruthlessly polished and tempered, and had become even more tenacious and crystal clear. Let me kneel. He took out his unsharpened broadsword and pointed it at Ding Wuji. Ding Wuji, right? You don't have the ability, and you don't have the qualifications. Today, you will die here. Die! Savage. After Ding Wuji's pupils shrank, his heart was filled with rage. A mere 3rd level Chi Soul Realm martial artist actually dared to say that he wanted to kill him. This was like a dog wanting to kill its master, wishful thinking. For Ding Wuji, this was a great humiliation. Chu Yang, in your words, you don't have the ability, and you don't have the qualifications to kill me. Is that so? Chu Yang sneered. You will soon know whether or not I have the ability, and whether or not I have the qualifications. Naturally, he did not have absolute confidence in killing Ding Wuji. More accurately, he did not have any confidence. Killing a 3rd level ascending soul realm martial artist was already very difficult, not to mention a 5th level ascending soul realm martial artist. But this Ding Wuji, he had to kill him, and he had to kill him in this thunder space. Otherwise, if Ding Wuji returned to the 5 Elements sect and exposed the fact that he had killed Duan Zhengji and the other 2, he would really be dead. So, this kind of thing could not happen. Me. Ding Wuji sneered. Chu Yang, I admit that you are very shocking. You barely managed to resist my soul pressure, but you think you can kill me. What a joke. The gap between the ascending soul tier and the chi soul tier is not something you can imagine. You talk a lot of nonsense. I just want to ask, can we start now? Chu Yang's black pupils surged with a cold chill. If he couldn't kill Ding Wuji, then he would die. There was no other choice. I want to see what you're capable of. A cold light flashed in Ding Wuji's eyes. He took a step forward, and his vigorous true essence erupted. The impact of this true essence caused all the nearby rocks on the ground to shatter into powder. Are you trying to provoke me because you're worried that I'll run away and report back to the sect? You're really looking down on me. Ding Wuji's eyes were filled with ferocity and anger. He no longer had the slightest bit of hesitation. His feet fiercely stomped on the ground, and the entire earth seemed to tremble. He bent his body and punched the ground. Bang! An astonishing amount of true yuan gushed into the ground, causing the ground where Chu Yang was standing to collapse in an instant. A fierce true yuan broke out from the ground like a sharp spear, ruthlessly blasting towards Chu Yang's legs. Shua! Chu Yang's figure moved, and turned into an afterimage. His afterimage was shaken and scattered at the same time. His figure had already appeared in front of Ding Wuji like a bolt of lightning. Shua! The saber in Chu Yang's hand suddenly waved. A terrifying saber light dazzled the eyes, like a crescent moon. With a ruthless attitude, it chopped out horizontally. With just this little bit of ability, you want to hurt me? You want to kill me? Ding Wuji sneered. He stretched out his hand, and a grayish-white true yuan gushed into his arm, causing his arm to look as if it had been cast from stone. It was incomparably hard. Dang! The swift and fierce saber light ruthlessly chopped into Ding Wuji's palm. However, a metallic sound rang out, and sparks flew. Ding Wuji's palm trembled, and the saber light caught it, causing it to explode. Die. Chapter 365. Pa. Chu Yang waved his sleeves, causing the air to explode. At the same time, his body shot backwards, creating 10 illusions. After dodging this attack, his toes pushed off the ground and stabilized himself in midair. A light flashed in his palm, and several rays of light quickly merged into the air. An astonishing fluctuation of heaven and earth energy spread out from Chu Yang's location at lightning speed. Soon, the saber light and the sword shadow completely appeared. Adding and adjusting on top of the original formation. Looking at the array formation that had appeared beneath Chu Yang's feet, Ding Wuji was startled. The speed at which Chu Yang's array formation was adjusted and replenished was far too fast. Just how much perception and control did this require? Wang. Chu Yang's eyes were ice cold. His hand seals changed, and from the saber lights and sword shadows, a saber light and sword shadow rushed out. Soon after, the saber lights and sword shadows transformed into a golden wheel of light. The sawtooth golden wheel of light violently shot out, tearing through the air and transforming into a golden light that shot towards Ding Wuji. Array? Is this what you're relying on? It's just an array that can kill a third-level ascending soul stage martial artist. You're counting on this broken array to kill me? Ridiculous. Ding Wuji's cold laughter was filled with ridicule. If he fell into the array, then there might be some trouble. The array's power was indeed terrifying, but outside the array's attacks would be weakened by a great deal. This was one of the drawbacks of an array, it had its limitations. On his arms, blue veins swelled like dragons. Ash-gray true essence surged, covering his entire arm. Stone man fist, mountain-breaking energy. Ding Wuji didn't show the slightest sign of dodging. His rock-like arm punched out, and with a deep roar, his grey-white true essence carried with it a wild wind that swept out. Then, it turned into a giant stone man. The stone man punched out, ruthlessly smashing into the golden wheel that was shooting towards him. Peng! The ash-grey true essence erupted, and an astonishing fluctuation spread out. The sawtooth golden wheel of light formed from countless sabers and swords was actually shattered by Ding Wuji's punch. The strength of a fifth-level ascending soul stage martial artist is truly astonishing. Chu Yang's pupils shrank. Chu Yang, Do you think I'm the same as Du and Zhengji and those pieces of trash? Just by relying on this broken formation, you think you can show off in front of me? Ding Wuji coldly snorted as he smashed apart the golden light wheel with a single punch. The disdain in his eyes grew even thicker as he taunted. However, although Ding Wuji ridiculed him, he was still extremely wary of Chu Yang. He had long since seen through the crux of the matter. The reason why Chu Yang had been able to kill Du and Zhengji and the others was because of his array formation. I'll destroy your formation with one punch, and then I'll smash you into pieces with another punch. Don't say that I didn't warn you beforehand. A sinister smile appeared at the corners of Ding Wuji's mouth as he sent a chilling smile towards Chu Yang. Suddenly, his ash-white arm darkened, as if it was made of the toughest grey rock. If the formation was broken, Chu Yang would be as weak as a baby. Killing him would be as easy as raising a hand. Stone Man Fist, Mountain Pulling Strength. Ding Wuji punched out, vigorous true yuan gushing out. The scene of a mountain being uprooted was extremely frightening. At the same time, the ash-white true yuan condensed, once again transforming into a gigantic stone man. A gigantic fist punched out, shattering the air as it ruthlessly smashed towards Chu Yang. Bang bang! The air exploded under the force of the fist, forming air arcs that interweaved in front of the gigantic stone fist. Ding Wuji wanted to break Chu Yang's array formation, not himself. Chu Yang was very clear on this point. Therefore, he was not distracted by Ding Wuji's feint attack. As he gazed at the astonishing fist wind, a cold light flashed in his black eyes as his 5 fingers suddenly clenched tightly. Bang! The sword shadow array suddenly lit up, erupting with an incomparably dazzling radiance. In an instant, a pillar of light soared into the sky, forming a barrier that protected the array formation, as well as Chu Yang. Clang clang clang. Chapter 366. The Saberlight and Sword Shadow Array could kill a 3rd stage Ascending Soul Realm martial artist, and could even resist a 4th stage Ascending Soul Realm martial artist. The strength of 9 dragons could fight a 9th stage Ascending Soul Realm martial artist, 10 dragons could fight a 1st stage Ascending Soul Realm martial artist, and 13 dragons could fight a 3rd stage Ascending Soul Realm martial artist. Then, the Saberlight and Sword Shadow Array that could kill a 3rd stage Ascending Soul Realm martial artist should be able to increase Chu Yang's strength of 13 dragons. Of course, this was only in terms of strength. Although a body cultivator had the upper hand in terms of strength, they were still fiercely suppressed by an Ascending Soul Realm martial artist. They were absolutely unable to resist the terrifying soul pressure. This was also one of the greatest reasons why body cultivators were abandoned by other martial artists. The strength of 13 dragons rumbled out, immediately colliding with the giant fist of the stone man. There was a sudden explosion, and an astonishing amount of true essence superimposed on top of each other. Peng peng. But it was still not enough. Chu Yang's body was shaken by the giant stone man's strength, as if it was about to break apart. His entire body was trembling from the violent impact. Origin Martial Third Revolution, Chi Soul Third Revolution. Bang! A wave of air shot up into the sky. Behind Chu Yang, the strength of 11 dragons and 7 elephants appeared. At the same time, his body cracked open. It was clear that his body was unable to withstand the strength of 13 dragons and the strength of 11 dragons and 7 elephants superimposed on top of each other. Ding Wuji was about to taunt again, but he suddenly saw Chu Yang erupt with such an astonishing strength. His heart skipped a beat. Only now did he notice that Chu Yang's fist strength had not been completely released. At this moment, an extremely domineering fluctuation surged out like a landslide. Bang! The stone man was instantly shattered. The true essence within exploded into a giant storm, forming an incomparably dazzling light that returned to the world. The strength of 24 dragons and 7 elephant. How is this possible? Ding Wuji's expression changed. With this strength, Chu Yang could absolutely kill him. Bang! The cracks on Chu Yang's body were severe. It was as if the dry earth had split open, and blood was gushing out. However, his face was indifferent. He didn't speak any nonsense and punched out again. The fist exploded. The air was compressed to the point of exploding. A gale swept out, as fast as lightning towards Ding Wuji. "Thousand-blade wall!" Ding Wuji roared out. He crossed his arms in front of him, and grey true essence surged, turning into a pale grey wall of light. Countless extremely sharp stone sabers and swords appeared on this wall of light, as well as sharp thorns. It seemed that as long as one touched this wall of light, their skin would split open, and their fist would be cut in half. Chu Yang's expression didn't change in the slightest as he blasted the air and blasted the thousand-blade wall in an extremely ferocious manner. Bang! A true essence shockwave that was visible to the naked eye rapidly spread out from between the two of them. A low and deep voice that caused one's heart to palpitate resounded. "Open!" At that moment, Chu Yang's cold voice resounded through the sky. His speed suddenly increased, and with a final boom, the thousand blades wall exploded. Boom! Shockwaves swept out. Ding Wuji's figure cut an extremely sorry figure as he was sent flying backwards. Everything in his path was destroyed, and he continued flying for 50 meters before finally coming to a stop. Smoke and dust soared into the sky. "Ding Wuji, don't get carried away. So what if you're at the ascending soul realm? Today, you will still die." Chu Yang's tightly clenched fists slowly loosened. He looked down at the gloomy Ding Wuji. He didn't immediately attack, but instead began to absorb the strength of the world from the array formation once more. His words were only an attempt to cover up this point. "You don't have the qualifications to kill me, nor do you have the ability." As the smoke and dust dispersed, Ding Wuji appeared. He gloomily glared at Chu Yang, his eyes filled with flames of rage. His stone-like face was completely twisted at this moment. Tap, tap, tap. He stepped forwards, step by step. His voice was filled with hostility. "Carried away? Then I'll let you see just who is the one carrying away their arrogance." Ding Wuji's feet fiercely stomped on the ground, accompanied by powerful true essence fluctuations. Crackling sounds came from his body, and in the blink of an eye, he grew to 100 feet tall. Then, his entire body turned to stone. Two pairs of grey eyes were emotionless as they coldly stared at Chu Yang, 100-foot tall stone man. Ascending soul transformation. Chapter 367. In the ascending soul realm, once one's martial soul was raised to a certain degree, they could refine the divine soul of a monster beast. And as they refined the divine soul of a monster beast, they could transform into a monster beast. This was the ascending soul transformation. The ascending soul transformation was not limited to monster beasts. For example, the stone man that Ding Wuji had transformed into was not a monster beast. And this was only one type of transformation of the ascending soul transformation. A martial artist could transform into their own martial soul. The ascending soul transformation was not only related to the strength of one's martial soul, but it also involved the transformation of one's flesh and blood. To completely transform one's flesh and blood into another monster beast or something else was simply impossible in the ascending soul realm. Thus, the ascending soul transformation was not a true transformation of one's flesh and blood, but a temporary distortion of one's body. It was similar to the thousand faces art that Chu Yang cultivated. It could change one's appearance and body, but the scope and degree of the ascending soul transformation was clearly much higher. The two were completely different. But in this way, the ascending soul transformation had very high requirements for the strength and control of the body. Thus, the vast majority of ascending soul realm martial artists were unable to use the ascending soul transformation. This was because the ascending soul transformation was not a true essence skill, but a true essence skill constructed from pure true essence. Chu Yang never imagined that Ding Wuji would be able to use the ascending soul transformation. He couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. He was naturally able to sense that the stone man that Ding Wuji had transformed into was not some illusory object, but was similar to a real stone man. The current Ding Wuji not only possessed his own strength, but also the tyrannical strength and true ability of the stone man. This degree of strength was terrifying. In particular, when he saw the 100-foot tall stone man with the color of a mountain, he instantly knew that this defensive power was extremely astonishing. Even if his third revolution martial soul and third revolution martial soul erupted at the same time, he still wouldn't be able to shake it. "Boss, let's run," Little Six said. There was no other way. "That's right, boss. Where there's life, there's hope." Little Black also didn't think that Chu Yang had any chance of winning. "Run." Chu Yang smiled bitterly in his heart and said to Little Six and Little Black, "Even if I successfully escape, when Ding Wuji returns to the Five Elements sect and reveals the matter of me killing Duan Zhengji, according to my current situation in the Five Elements sect, I reckon that the Five Elements sect will hunt me down. Besides, the monk can escape, but the temple can't. What about my father, mother, elder brother and elder sister? They will definitely be implicated. He couldn't escape, he definitely couldn't escape." Little Six and Little Black had nothing to say. If they couldn't escape, then they could only fight to the death. But if they fought to the death, they didn't think there was any hope. "Little Six, you'll form the Ghost Death Array." Little Six and Little Black immediately shook and formed a formation. Their big boss planned to combine the Spectral Life-Taking Formation and the Saberlights and Sword Shadows, but it was really a bit whimsical. How could it be easy to combine an array? The two types of array seals were completely different. To perfectly combine the two was even more difficult. This combination array was easy. For example, if two people were fused together, not only would they retain all the advantages, they would also have to get rid of all the disadvantages. This was already a fantasy story. Even if two formations were combined, it would not necessarily be 1 + 1 = 2. The Saberlights and Sword Shadows array and the Spectral Life-Taking Formation, these two arrays could kill a third-layer Ascending Soul Tier, and even battle a fourth-layer Ascending Soul Tier. In other words, when the two were combined, it might not be 3. 5 + 3. 5 = 7. It could kill a sixth-layer Ascending Soul Tier, or even a seventh-layer Ascending Soul Tier. To be precise, most of the chances were 0, or even -7. The combination of two arrays was extremely dangerous. If one wasn't careful, they would completely explode. Not to mention injuring the enemy, they would kill themselves. "Yes, big boss." Little Six began to form seals. Its only thought now was that others might not be able to do it, but Chu Yang might be able to do it. Third transformation of the Sha martial art, third transformation of the Chi soul, which one could do it? How would they know if they didn't try? Chapter 368. Roar. The stone man that Ding Wuji had transformed into thumped his chest and roared towards the heavens. His eyes were cold and vicious. Although he had changed into this form, Ding Wuji was still Ding Wuji. This meant that he had already completely refined the stone man's soul. Thus, at this moment, he still had a clear mind. It was precisely because of this combination of the stone man's tyrannical body and human intelligence that he was so terrifying. "Now, tell me who is the one who has lost his sense of measure." Ding Wuji had transformed into a stone man, his voice echoing through the skies. He clenched his fists, and a vigorous true essence gushed out like a tide. A low roar came from his throat, and a strange fluctuation spread out from his feet. Wang. The earth seemed to tremble at this moment. He stamped his feet, and his figure shot into the skies. His palms came together, and a grayish-white spiritual energy swept out, turning into a grayish-white light. The light condensed into giant rocks that floated in the air. A berserk fluctuation spread out. Chu Yang's expression became dignified. He could feel that every giant rock that Ding Wuji had condensed around him had an astonishing strength that was enough to seriously wound a fifth-layer ascending soul realm martial artist. Obviously, after transforming into this form, Ding Wuji's combat strength had risen by a great deal. Stone Man's rock, meteors fall from the sky. Ding Wuji's gloomy eyes locked onto Chu Yang. Immediately, his eyes turned cold, and the giant rocks that were emitting a grayish-white light suddenly began to hum and vibrate. The sound of wind breaking resounded, and the numerous giant rocks that blotted out the sky instantly shot towards Chu Yang, blocking off all of his escape routes. Chu Yang looked up. He looked at the giant rocks that were rapidly enlarging in his eyes, and took a deep breath. At this moment, Little Six was forming seals. Deep within his body, a mysterious light began to flicker. Shio shio shio. At the same time, he withdrew the saber light sword shadow array. True essence surged beneath his feet, condensing into a five-colored cloud that seemed to hide something. Dong dong dong. The moment the giant rocks came crashing down, Chu Yang's figure completely disappeared. His speed was so fast that even Ding Wuji wasn't able to catch him. The great earth began to tremble violently. Smoke and dust began to spread, obscuring one's line of sight. However, that type of terrifying bombardment made one shiver in fear. With so many ferocious attacks, not to mention those in the Chi Soul tier, even those in the Ascending Soul tier would probably be instantly blasted into a pile of mush. So what if he is a monster? He still has to die. Ding Wuji's lips curved up in a sneer, a bit pleased with himself. Just as he was about to leave the stone man form, he suddenly felt a clear fluctuation to his left. As he looked over, his eyelids jumped. Chu Yang. At this time, array seals began to condense around Chu Yang's body. They were extremely dazzling, as if they were mocking Ding Wuji for being so complacent just now. He had been happy far too early. When did he escape? How did he escape? I didn't even notice. Ding Wuji felt as if the heavens and earth were turning upside down in his heart. His giant stone golem body was like a mountain on the verge of collapsing, violently shaking. His all-out attack, had actually ended up like this. Not only had he failed to kill Lin Ming, but he had also become a joke. Ding Wuji was frightened. Chu Yang had revealed such a method, causing him to be frightened to the extreme. He simply couldn't understand how Chu Yang had managed to escape. It was simply unfathomable, impossible to fathom. As he saw the array seals dancing around Chu Yang's body, the array seals began to fuse together. Ding Wuji's heart fiercely trembled. Combine the array. Chu Yang was actually combining the array. Didn't he know what the consequences would be once the array formation failed? Not even his bones would remain. However, Ding Wuji was frightened once again. Combining the array formations was indeed difficult and extremely dangerous. If he wasn't careful and both arrays exploded, he would undoubtedly die. But Chu Yang was a monstrous genius. What couldn't he do? What should I do? The fear in Ding Wuji's heart had reached the extreme. He had never seen such an inconceivable person. Combining the array formations was such a dangerous task, but in his opinion, Chu Yang wasn't difficult at all, nor was it impossible. Chapter 369. With that astonishing speed, he was able to escape from the meteor attack without me even sensing it. If he wanted to escape, I would have no way to stop him. The fear in Ding Wuji's heart grew. He was very sure that Chu Yang had chosen not to escape because he wanted to kill him. Otherwise, he would not give up. If he is so confident that he can kill me, then he must have absolute confidence in combining the arrays. The stone man that I have transformed into is enormous. With his speed, it is absolutely impossible for me to catch him. And if I want to escape, my speed is not as good as his, so I absolutely cannot escape. Damn it! Ding Wuji fiercely clenched his teeth. He knew that he was already at the edge of life and death. I can only fight to the death. He hardened his heart and said in a low voice, Chu Yang, I want to see if you will die today, or if I will. Boom! The ground shook as soon as the 30-meter-tall golem sat down. Soon after, a white light and a black light flew out from each of the golem's eyes. The two lights merged at the center of the golem's forehead, turning into a small golem. Hooah! With a sound like paper being cut open, the small stone golem cut open a hole in the stone golem's forehead. In an instant, a grey-white mist surged out of the hole. Wang! Visible ripples rushed out from the hole, spreading into the distance. What is he trying to do? Chu Yang immediately felt a great sense of danger, and then he completely understood. It should be that his use of the somersault cloud to dodge had scared him. He knew that there was no hope of chasing him, so he used his most terrifying method. It was like lifting a rock and smashing it on his own foot. From the hole, the fluctuations that came from it were even more obvious and strong. It was also even more shocking and strange. The surging grayish-white fog made it seem like a crack in the gates of hell. And the gates of hell were about to open, releasing the demons of hell. What is he trying to do? Chu Yang furrowed his brows. I don't care. I have to buy time now. Before his secret technique is formed, I have to merge the two formations perfectly. The phantom life-reaping array would form a phantom assassin who could kill people without leaving a trace. This was why it was called the phantom life-reaping array. In Chu Yang's phantom life-reaping array and the sword shadow array did not conflict with each other. Without a sword, the assassin's power would be greatly reduced. Therefore, the sword shadow array could be used as a weapon in the hands of the ghost assassin. Wang. Outside Chu Yang's body, the 30 formation seals of the two formations had already begun to correspond with each other. They had begun to fuse together, and a terrifying fluctuation was being emitted. The ripples in the air were becoming more and more obvious. Now, what Chu Yang needed to do was to adjust the various formation seals and fuse them together to complete the formation. It was a race against time. Whoever completed their trump card first might decide who would live and who would die. The oppressive aura extended the short period of time infinitely. Combine the formation. As Chu Yang spoke, a cracking sound came from Ding Wuji's forehead. The hole in the center of his forehead was like a heavy stone door. It had been completely opened, and a grey-white world appeared. Then, a vertical eye leapt out from the endless void, instantly appearing in front of Ding Wuji. Kai kai kai. A greyish-white light shot out from the vertical eye. Wherever it went, everything was greyish-white. In the air, greyish-white dust constantly fell down, as if the debris in the void had been petrified and then fell down. Then, this strange gaze fell on Chu Yang's body. Chu Yang used his arm to resist. Suddenly, he discovered that his entire arm had stiffened, unable to move. He looked again and discovered that his arm had been completely petrified. Chapter 370. Rumble, rumble, rumble. As the vertical eye turned, it emitted a sound like a head rolling on the ground. This vertical eye turned towards Chu Yang's legs. Chu Yang's legs were immediately petrified. Now, he couldn't escape even if he wanted to. Tell me all the secret techniques you used just now and I will let you die a quick and easy death. Otherwise, I will make you beg for death. This vertical eye wanted to torture Chu Yang to death. Chu Yang was originally panic-stricken. But after his arms and legs were petrified, he discovered that his mortal body was swallowing the strange strength of the petrified areas. However, this speed was extremely slow, as if there were countless delicious foods in front of him. Although he was already full, he still couldn't help but eat a little. The power of petrification, this is the power of earth, the innate power of earth. My innate body of earth is swallowing this power of petrification. As Chu Yang's thoughts stirred, the speed at which he swallowed the power of petrification increased. At a visible speed, his petrified legs and arms rapidly recovered. So it was like this. Ha ha. Chu Yang laughed out loud. Ding Wuji, you may have taken a fancy to my secret techniques, but if you have the ability to take them, then you think you can kill me with a mere eye. Impossible. How was this possible? Ding Wuji was so scared that his courage was about to break apart. His petrification eye had actually been blocked by Chu Yang once more. Without regard for anything else, his vertical eye turned towards Chu Yang once more, instantly petrifying Chu Yang. Bang! Immediately, he was about to rush over and smash apart Chu Yang, but the array formation beneath Chu Yang's feet began to shine. A ghost assassin appeared, controlling a river of swords and sabers that instantly swept towards Ding Wuji. Ding Wuji's courage nearly broke apart. This river of swords and sabers was extremely sharp. As soon as he came into contact with it, he would be cut in half. He could only quickly dodge. At this moment, Chu Yang's entire body had been petrified. He was on the verge of death. The true essence within his body surged, resisting the further invasion of the petrification power. At the same time, his body was madly devouring the petrification power. At the moment of life and death, Chu Yang's innate earth, gold, and water physiques were activated to the extreme. The power of earth was too rich, and it instantly transformed into the power of gold, and then the power of gold into the power of water. After that, the power of water was transformed into the power of wood and injected into the unformed innate wood physique, the cliff. Earth birthed metal, metal birthed water, water birthed wood, and the power of earth was like the source of a river. When a flood erupted from the upper stream, a large amount of river water would naturally flow downwards. There was no need for Chu Yang to actively circulate the power of earth. However, before the innate wood constitution was formed, it was like a huge abyss that could contain any amount of flood. Therefore, the rich power of earth had an outlet, and it devoured the power of petrification even faster. Chu Yang's petrified body quickly turned back into a body of flesh and blood. Ding Wuji was so frightened that his vertical eye locked onto Chu Yang once more. If he allowed Chu Yang to recover and control the array formation, he would die without a doubt. I don't believe that I can't petrify you. Ding Wuji was completely ruthless. As he resisted the ghost assassin, he also revolved his eyes of petrification to the extreme. Without blinking, his eyes locked onto Chu Yang. Chu Yang was petrified and restored. Like this, his innate wood body was rapidly forming. As for Ding Wuji, he could not give up on him. If he did, that would mean death. After an incense stick of time, with a loud bang, 4 dragons appeared behind Chu Yang, emitting loud dragon roars. The innate wood body had formed. Chu Yang had broken through the bottleneck of 4 dragons, finally breaking through the bottleneck and stepping into the boundary of the mortal body transformation, 4 divine images. But everything still didn't stop. The strength of 4 dragons and 1 elephant. The strength of 4 dragons and 2 elephant. The strength of 4 dragons and 3 elephants. In an instant, he had broken through to the strength of 5 dragons, breaking through to the 5th level of the Chi Soul realm, the 5 elements realm. Like a hot knife through butter. It was like a hot knife through butter. But Chu Yang's breakthrough did not stop. The strength of 5 dragons and 1 elephant. The strength of 5 dragons and 2 elephants. The strength of 5 dragons and 3 elephants. When he reached the strength of 5 dragons and 6 elephants, his momentum came to a halt and slowed down. 4th level of the Chi Soul realm. 5th level of the Chi Soul realm. Not only did my eyes of petrification not kill him, it even helped him break through to the 5th level of the Chi Soul realm. Is he still human? This kind of person was impossible to kill. Damn an Russian, damn an Deity. Ding Wuji was scared out of his wits. He could no longer care about anything else. From 100 feet tall stone man, he instantly returned to his original form and fled for his life. Chapter 371. Ding Wuji, do you think you can escape? At this moment, Chu Yang no longer hid the ability he had obtained from filling the heaven and earth bridges, path to heaven. The path to heaven appeared under his feet. He took a step and instantly disappeared, appearing behind Ding Wuji as if he had teleported. He was extremely fast and elusive. Ding Wuji didn't even realize what had happened. It was only when he felt a sharp pain and saw that Chu Yang had used his 5 elements true essence to condense the 5-colored sword that he realized he had already died. Blood gushed out of his mouth. He turned his head and looked at Chu Yang in disbelief before he died. Petrifying eye. Chu Yang was extremely envious. If he could obtain the secret technique of petrifying eye, his 5 elements true energy would be perfect, and he would be much more terrifying than Ding Wuji. Unfortunately, Chu Yang didn't obtain such a secret technique, nor did he find anything valuable on Ding Wuji. Instead, he found a map in Ding Wuji's storage ring. Ding Wuji seemed to care a lot about it. This is the map of the Hellfire Fruit. Chu Yang glanced at it and found the location of the Hellfire Fruit. Hellfire Fruit. Chu Yang's eyes narrowed. The competition for the Hellfire Fruit would be extremely fierce. Not only the 7 Stars sect, but there would also be others. I must get it. If I can get the Hellfire Fruit and cultivate the innate thunder physique, I will be able to break through to the 6th layer of the Chi Soul realm. At that time, I should have the strength to fight with Deity. This time, he had almost died. How could Chu Yang let Deity go? He had to settle all the old grudges. As for his current strength, he could kill a 3rd layer ascending soul realm cultivator before. After breaking through 2 layers, killing a 5th layer ascending soul realm cultivator shouldn't be a problem. It might even be possible for him to kill a 6th layer ascending soul realm cultivator. A formation that can kill a 7th layer, 8th layer, or even 9th layer ascending soul realm cultivator. A better formation, a higher level formation, this was what Chu Yang urgently needed. Lightning strike would. If I hadn't broken through, this would be what I needed the most. But now, it's useless. Duan Zhengji and the other two had already completed the Thunderstruck Wood mission. However, there was nothing on them that Chu Yang was interested in. After getting the lightning fire fruit and breaking through, I should return to the 5 elements sec. Shua. Chu Yang's figure moved as he dashed in the direction of the sky lightning earthly fiery fruit. In just an instant, Chu Yang saw several figures in the distance. They were confronting each other at the edge of a deep pool. His eyes swept over, and he couldn't help but narrow. It was not just one group of people. Other than Le Guanyu and the others from the 7 Stars sect, there were also a few other forces. They were dressed neatly and were clearly disciples of sects. What caught his attention in particular were the 2 groups of people who were confronting the 7 Stars sect. Longhu sect. Soul Devourer clan. As expected, the Longhu sect and Soul Devourer clan are also here. Chu Yang was not very surprised. For a mutant fruit like the sky lightning earthly fiery fruit, every competition would be very intense. How could only the people from the 7 Stars sect know about it? It could be said that if Ding Wuji, who he killed, was included, the people from the 4 major sects would all be here. The 4 major sects of the Eastern Wilderness, the 5 Elements sect, the 7 Stars sect, the Soul Devourer clan, and the Longhu sect were generally on par. However, after many years of development, there was a big gap in strength. Especially the 7 Stars sect, who was almost removed from the 4 major sects. The 5 Elements sect could be said to be the leader of the 4 major sects. In the past, whether it was the Soul Devourer clan or the Longhu sect, they followed the 5 Elements sect's lead. However, after the Wei Kingdom, Wu Kingdom, and the other 3 kingdoms were established, these sects no longer existed. In particular, in the past 100 years, the Soul Devourer clan and the Longhu sect had developed rapidly. These 2 sects had the intention of catching up with the 5 Elements sect. Overall, the 5 Elements sect had gradually become weaker. Among them, the Longhu sect was relatively better, but the Soul Devourer clan now had the upper hand. Why is Le Guanyu and the others going against the Longhu sect and the Soul Devourer clan? After Chu Yang looked at the situation, he realized that other than the 7 Stars sect, the Longhu sect, and the Soul Devourer clan, everyone else had been chased out. In addition, there were a few more disciples from the 7 Stars sect, and they were stronger than Le Guanyu and the others. However, Chu Yang did not recognize these faces. Chapter 372. Looking at the posture of the 3 parties, the Soul Devourer clan and the Longhu sect had obviously joined forces. They also wanted to eliminate the 7 Stars sect. The 7 Stars sect is now weak and is no longer in the eyes of the Longhu sect and the Soul Devourer clan. Otherwise, they wouldn't dare to touch the 7 Stars sect. Just as Chu Yang was secretly observing the Longhu sect and the Soul Devourer clan, a strange feeling surged in his heart. Chu Yang slightly sensed and saw that among the disciples of the Soul Devourer clan, a bright light suddenly flashed. It seemed that he had noticed Chu Yang and unintentionally glanced in the direction of Chu Yang. 5th level of the Ascending Soul Realm, what a strong perception. Chu Yang's heart trembled slightly. The other party was able to notice him from so far away while confronting him. It was obvious that his perception was extremely strong. If I want to get the Fire Lightning Fruit, I have to pass through the Soul Devourer clan and the Longhu sect. Otherwise, there's no hope. The Longhu sect and the Soul Devourer clan have already joined forces, so I can only go to the 7 Stars sect to join forces. My current strength is too weak. Even if they know that I'm a disciple of the 5 Elements sect, they probably won't take me seriously. I'd better go and take a look first before making any plans. After some calculations, Chu Yang's figure flashed and soared into the sky. Like an eagle, he quickly rushed towards the place where Le Guanyu and the others were. Soon, Chu Yang appeared at the place where the 3 parties were confronting each other. The moment Chu Yang appeared, he quickly attracted the attention of all parties. Brother Le, what's going on? Chu Yang landed beside Le Guanyu. Brother Chu, it's you. When Le Guanyu saw Chu Yang, his eyes lit up and revealed a trace of joy. You know him? Beside Le Guanyu, a 30-year-old 7 stars sect disciple at the 4th level of the ascending soul realm was somewhat surprised. Senior brother Li, you don't know. This is senior brother Chu Yang from the 5 Elements sect. He was the one who saved our lives. The lively and adorable little girl beside Le Guanyu quickly revealed Chu Yang's identity with a few words. 5 Elements sect. When the people from the Soul Devourer clan and the Longhu sect opposite the 7 Stars sect heard this and knew that Chu Yang was a disciple of the 5 Elements sect, their expressions could not help but change. Could it be that the 5 Elements sect also sent people to participate in the fight for the heavenly thunder earthly fire fruit? The 5 Elements sect was different from the 7 Stars sect. The former's strength and influence were far above the latter's. Even if the 5 Elements sect was weaker than before, the 5 Elements sect used to be the leader of the 4 sects. Even if the Dragon Tiger sect and the Soul Devourer clan seemed to be catching up, the foundation and identity of the 5 Elements sect were still unshakable. They could ignore the 7 Stars sect, the Soul Devourer clan, and the Dragon Tiger sect, but the 5 Elements sect was completely different. There's no need to care. He's just at the 5th level of the Chi Soul realm, 5 Elements Yuan. At most, he's a core disciple of the 5 Elements sect. I'm afraid he's not even one. He can't represent the 5 Elements sect. Send someone over later and tell him to scram immediately. Murong Huan only glanced at the leader of the Soul Devourer clan with disdain. He flicked his fingernails and did not take Chu Yang seriously at all. What? He's just at the 5th level of the One Spirit realm. He dares to fight for the heavenly thunder earthly fire fruit. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Does he still think that the 5 Elements sect is the leader of our 4 sects? What a joke. Tell him to scram. If he doesn't scram, so what if we kill him and the 5 Elements sect? Chapter 373. Senior brother Chu Yang, you be the judge. We were the first to discover this heavenly lightning earthfire fruit. The Soul Devourer clan and the Dragon Tiger sect bullied us and wanted to snatch it without saying a word. How could there be such a thing in this world? The little girl seemed indignant. Oh. Chu Yang only responded casually. She was too naive. Although the 4 sects had long made a rule that whoever discovered it first would have the priority to obtain it. Those who discovered it at the same time would rely on their own abilities. But not to mention that you discovered it first and arrived first, even if you obtained it, they would still snatch it. Snatch? A bunch of nonsense. Suddenly, one of the soul-devouring sect's disciples stepped forward. Without any trace of politeness, he scolded sternly, "What does a little girl like you know? When we discovered the heavenly lightning earthly fire fruit, it was not ripe yet. How is it that you discovered it? If you continue to shoot your mouth off like this, be careful or I'll tear your mouth apart." This person was only a disciple of the Soul Devourer clan at the 1st level of the ascending soul tier, but he scolded without any scruples, completely looking down on the 7 Stars sect, extremely arrogant. If you say so, what's the use of the rules set by the 4 sects? Even if I arrived late, I can still say that I discovered it long ago. Doesn't that mean that all the treasures are yours? Does your Soul Devourer clan have any shame? The counterattack was quite sharp. Chu Yang knew that things were going bad when he heard it. After all, the rules set by the 4 sects were there, and the Soul Devourer clan had to have some scruples in front of others. As expected. Slap her. A cold light flashed in the eyes of the leader of the Soul Devourer clan, Murong Huan. Before anyone could see clearly, the little girl's face was slapped, and her cheek swelled up, revealing a clear palm print. So fast. Chu Yang couldn't help but narrow his eyes. Others didn't see it clearly, but he did. Just as the little girl finished speaking, a palm print condensed from True Origin slapped the little girl's face heavily. But this wasn't the most important thing. The Soul Devourer clan was indeed domineering. This slap caused tears to flow out of the little girl's eyes. She felt extremely wronged. If the 7 Stars sect doesn't have a temper, then don't talk about the heavenly lightning earthly fire fruit. Chu Yang's gaze was slightly cold. He wanted to stand up for the little girl, but it was not his turn yet. If he made a move, Where would the Seven Stars sect put their faces? Junior sister. When Le Guanyu and the other Seven Stars sect disciples that Chu Yongnu saw that the little girl was beaten up, all of their expressions changed. They glared hatefully at the people from the Soul Devourer clan. In addition, Chu Yang did not recognize the people from the Seven Stars sect. Their expressions also became very unsightly. The little girl was a disciple of the Seven Stars sect. If they wanted to teach her a lesson, it should be them, her senior brothers. It was not the Soul Devourer clan's turn to teach her a lesson. The other party had overstepped his authority and slapped a disciple of his sect in front of him. He really didn't put him in his eyes. Murong Huan, you're too presumptuous. Xiao Wu is a disciple of our sect. It's not your Soul Devourer clan's turn to teach her a lesson, a Seven Stars sect powerhouse said coldly with a gloomy face. Xiao Wu was the little girl's name. Ch, are you not convinced? Then you can make a move. Murong Huan snorted coldly. She was very disdainful and directly provoked them. The expressions of the few ascending soul realm powerhouses from the Seven Stars sect changed drastically. Then, their auras instantly weakened. How could they be a match for the Soul Devourer clan and the Longhu sect when they joined forces? If they made a move, it would be as simple as suffering a loss. Chapter 374. Murong Huan, we were the first to discover the heavenly lightning earthly fire fruit. Are you trying to snatch it by force? You don't care about the rules set by the four sects at all, do you? The Seven Stars sect only had powerless words, but they still had a certain degree of lethality. I can't be bothered to talk nonsense with you. Since you're not convinced, send a message back to the Seven Stars sect. I'd like to see if the Seven Stars sect dares to say that I snatched it. Murong Huan was not only overbearing but also lawless. She had completely trampled the Seven Stars sect into the ground. I'm openly snatching it from you. Do you dare to accuse me like this? Where did she get this backing from? How can Murong Huan be so sure that the Seven Stars sect won't dare to flare up? Chu Yang was shocked. It was either that Murong Huan had an extraordinary status in the Soul Devourer clan or that the Seven Stars sect's current situation could not be worse. It was probably both. The Seven Stars sect was furious, but they did not dare to flare up. They did not say anything and directly sent a message back. The situation is stronger than the person. If the Seven Stars sect can't hold on, I'm afraid I'll be in trouble later. Chu Yang could foresee that the Soul Devourer clan and the Dragon Tiger sect would not be polite to him later. To be honest, he knew that the Seven Stars sect was weak, but he did not expect it to be so bad. They had been trampled into the ground, but they did not dare to flare up. As for the use of asking for instructions or asking for help from the elders in the sect, the other party knew that they did not care at all. At most, the fight between the younger generation would become a fight between the older generation. If one did not have the ability, one would still suffer. Thinking of this, Chu Yang could already foresee what the outcome would be. In addition, the disciples of the Seven Stars sect were very afraid of the Soul Devourer clan. When his junior sister was slapped, they only shouted a few words and did not dare to say anything. From this, Chu Yang could imagine how powerful the Soul Devourer clan was now. Next, it should be my turn. How should I deal with it? Endure it. Just as Chu Yang was thinking about how to deal with it, he suddenly felt a sharp gaze fall on him. Anger rose in his heart as he raised his head. He immediately saw the expert from the Soul Devourer clan named Murong Huan looking down at him condescendingly. Her eyes were filled with disdain and contempt. You are Chu Yang, a disciple of the Five Elements sect? Murong Huan's gaze was sharp, as if she wanted to tear you into pieces with just one look. Not bad. Chu Yang was neither servile nor overbearing. He was already thinking of a way to deal with this. He secretly scanned the people from the Longhu sect and the Soul Devourer clan and realized that the strongest among them were Murong Huan and another person from the Longhu sect. Humph! Didn't the Five Elements sect teach you the rules? You have to bow when you see your senior brothers from other sects. How dare you, a mere third-layer Chi Soul Realm cultivator, stand in front of me? I'll give you a chance. Immediately disappear from my sight. Otherwise, Don't blame us for giving face to your five-element sect. He was bossy and domineering. Chu Yang sneered in his heart. Sure enough, it's not even half as I expected. He held back his anger and did not directly mock him. Senior brother, I am a disciple of the five-elements sect. I follow the rules of the five-elements sect. Whether or not I have manners will naturally be reprimanded by the senior brothers or elders in the main sect. It's not up to you to reprimand me. How dare he say such a thing? The moment Chu Yang said this, the Soul Devourer clan and the Longhu sect couldn't help but be surprised. A mere third-layer Chi Soul Realm disciple from the Five Elements sect didn't give Murong Huan any face at all. He was simply too daring. What a guy, I underestimated him. Even the people from the Seven Stars sect who Chu Yang didn't know were shocked and couldn't help but cast sidelong glances at him. The Soul Devourer clan was used to being overbearing, especially in the past few years. Today's situation was not the first time the Seven Stars sect encountered such a situation. Especially since Murong Huan's identity was not simple. It was said that she was a genius nurtured by the Soul Devourer clan as the saint. Therefore, no matter how arrogant Murong Huan was, they could only endure it. They knew that they didn't have the guts like Chu Yang to not give Murong Huan face in front of so many people, especially when Chu Yang was only at the third layer Chi Soul realm. Chapter 375. Good. Very good. A mere LV5 Chi Soul Realm disciple from the Five Elements sect dared to talk back in front of him. Murong Huan's face was extremely gloomy, and a trace of anger flashed across his face. At this moment, Chu Yang squinted his eyes. From the corner of his eye, he saw a palm-sized True Origin Chi fly towards his face at lightning speed. Murong Huan actually wanted to use the same trick and slap him in front of everyone. This was Murong Huan's response. If Chu Yang was weaker, he would have been slapped in front of everyone. Unfortunately, Chu Yang was not the little girl called Xiao Wu. Chu Yang snorted coldly. Who are you trying to play this little trick in front of? A trace of anger flashed across his face. Being slapped in front of everyone, the injury on his face was secondary. What was more important was the humiliation of having one's pride trampled on. Who would want to endure that? Slap. With a cold snort, Chu Yang swung his arm like a whip and lashed out. Bang! The True Origin Chi exploded with a loud bang, forming a whirlwind that swept across the surroundings. With Chu Yang's current strength, if he really attacked, even Murong Huan would die. How could this little trick not be blocked? Murong Huan raised his eyebrows. He did not take Chu Yang seriously at all. The purpose of this slap was to teach Chu Yang a lesson. However, he never expected that Chu Yang, who was only at the Chi Soul realm, would be able to block his attack. Little trick, how dare you talk to me like that? Murong Huan's gaze was sharp. With a swoosh, it was like a blade that slashed towards Chu Yang. Chimph, you still want to teach senior brother Chu a lesson? Do you think he's just at the Chi Soul realm? Before Chu Yang could speak, the little girl called Xiao Wu from the Seven Stars sect saw that Chu Yang had blocked Murong Huan's True Origin Chi. She felt relieved, as if she had blocked it herself. She immediately retorted, Senior brother Chu's strength is high, and he's also a formation master. If you want to deal with him, you're definitely wrong, lass. Le Guanyu, who was at the side, could not help but frown. She was too insensible. Chu Yang hadn't even opened his mouth yet. What are you opening your mouth for? Do you think that your senior brother Chu is invincible? Array master. Beside him was the leader of the Dragon Tiger sect, Yang Cheng. His gaze fell on Chu Yang, and a murderous aura instantly filled the air. It was as if a homicidal maniac was pressing down on Chu Yang, forcing Chu Yang to kneel down in fear, or even be scared out of his wits. What a shocking killing aura. However, how could this do anything to Chu Yang? He sneered and waved his hand. With a flick of his sleeve, this murderous aura was directly dispersed. Yes. Yang Cheng could not help but be slightly surprised. His murderous aura could not affect Chu Yang at all. This kid is not simple. At this moment, whether it was the Soul Devourer clan or the Dragon Tiger sect, all the disciples stared at Chu Yang like a pack of wolves staring at a lamb. The oppressive aura made the little girl beside Chu Yang unable to withstand it at all. She was forced to retreat repeatedly. The Seven Stars sect wanted to help, but they realized that there was no need at all. Chu Yang's expression did not change. He was calm and collected as if there was only a cool breeze blowing from the other side. The Five Elements sect is indeed extraordinary. A mere disciple in the Chi Soul stage can actually withstand such pressure. The few people from the Seven Stars sect who did not know Chu Yang were shocked. They seemed to have realized the huge gap between the Five Elements sect and the Seven Stars sect from Chu Yang. Array Master, not bad. However, some young people are impulsive and easily angered. I'm afraid they'll cause a lot of trouble. Today, I'll teach you a lesson on behalf of the Five Elements sect's senior brothers and elders, lest you don't know what's good for you and go astray. Murong Huan's killing intent was triggered. Array masters generally had astonishing comprehension, and their status was higher than martial artists. Most importantly, Chu Yang's martial arts cultivation was also very shocking. Chapter 376. A kind horse would be ridden, and a kind person would be bullied. It was necessary to show his strength appropriately, and Chu Yang didn't mind making a move. Dong. Murong Huan stomped his foot, and the ground sounded like a drum being beaten. He stepped out of the crowd, and the aura on his body surged like the sun, boundless and boundless, emitting a strong sense of oppression. You want to suppress him without even using your soul pressure. It was laughable that Chu Yang didn't move at all. Murong Huan's expression couldn't help but change. After continuous suppression, Chu Yang didn't move at all. He was a little embarrassed, and with a buzz, a ripple appeared between his brows. He finally used his soul pressure to suppress Chu Yang. In an instant, the void trembled, and even the surrounding ground seemed to shake. A majestic and boundless soul pressure pressed down on Chu Yang. The strong soul pressure made many people from the Seven Stars sect almost kneel down. What a strong soul pressure! You want to directly injure my spirit. The killing intent in Chu Yang's heart suddenly flourished. At this time, he suddenly heard a thunderous voice in his ears. Why aren't you kneeling down for me? The soul pressure of a fifth-level ascending soul realm was directly led by Chu Yang into the spiritual world opened in his Yantian aperture. The crushing soul pressure rushed out of the universal millstone and was immediately absorbed by Chu Yang. He didn't mind increasing the strength of his spiritual power and martial soul. Of course, he didn't mind either. He was so calm and indifferent, looking at Murong Huan's shocked face, flushed face, thick neck, and pulsing veins. Murong Huan was completely embarrassed. She was so domineering, so self-righteous, and so arrogant. She didn't put Chu Yang in her eyes at all and ruthlessly suppressed him. However, she couldn't even move a single strand of Chu Yang's hair. It was as ridiculous as a beggar asking the emperor to kneel down. Boom. Everyone was shocked as they looked at Chu Yang in disbelief. He was merely in the fifth layer of the Chi Soul tier, yet he was actually able to withstand the soul pressure of a fifth layer of the ascending soul tier. One had to know that there was at least a gap of 10 realms between the two of them. However, Chu Yang was able to withstand it so calmly and effortlessly. His Chi Soul realm cultivation base was actually able to withstand the soul pressure of an ascending soul realm cultivator. How could this be? This was simply too shocking and too frightening. It completely overturned everything they knew. The ascending soul tier had an absolute advantage over the Chi Soul tier. Soul pressure directly affected one's spirit and martial soul. As long as one's martial soul did not advance, how could one withstand the pressure of soul pressure? Thus, they had never seen or even heard of a Chi Soul tier cultivator being able to withstand the soul pressure of an ascending soul tier cultivator. Longhu sect's Yang Cheng's body trembled violently. His pupils constricted as he stared at Chu Yang, as if he wanted to see through him. He dared to say that Chu Yang was definitely a peerless genius. If he did not get rid of him as soon as possible, he would definitely be trampled under his feet in the future, and would never be able to make a comeback. The people from the Seven Stars sect were also shocked. Their eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Even Le Guanyu and the little girl, who knew Chu Yang, knew that Chu Yang was powerful, but they never thought that Chu Yang would be so shocking and unbelievable. He was only in the Chi soul tier, yet he was able to withstand the soul pressure of an ascending soul tier cultivator. It was hard for them to imagine, and they did not know how Chu Yang was able to do it. Even if one was in the 9th layer of the Chi soul tier and did not advance their martial soul, as long as the soul pressure came down on them, they would still have to kneel. However, Chu Yang was only in the 5th layer of the Chi soul tier now. You're courting death. The anger in Murong Huan's heart completely exploded. She was extremely embarrassed and angry, and her face was burning hot. He attacked again and again, but not only did Chu Yang not kneel and beg for mercy or cry like he had imagined, but he also ridiculed him calmly. This made him as ugly and laughable as a clown, and he could no longer keep his face. Not good. The people from the 7 Stars sect were shocked, but they were powerless to stop him. Boom. Chapter 377. Boom. The wind suddenly stopped, and Murong Huan stopped right in front of Chu Yang. Their eyes and noses met, and their gazes were like cold lightning. No matter how much Murong Huan tried to show off, Chu Yang did not even blink. Chu Yang's aura was not any weaker than Murong Huan's. Murong Huan suppressed his anger and stopped his hand. He had too many concerns. Chu Yang was an array master. Chu Yang was able to resist his soul pressure at the Chi soul realm. Perhaps the 5 Elements sect had given Chu Yang some kind of secret treasure. Therefore, just as Chu Yang said, Murong Huan was not the only one with a status in the Soul Devourer clan. Chu Yang's status in the 5 Elements sect was definitely not lower than his. Once he touched Chu Yang, the 5 Elements sect would definitely pursue the matter. In the end, even Murong Huan would not be able to bear the consequences. The 5 Elements sect was not the 7 Stars sect. Although it had been weak in recent years, it was still the head of the 4 sects. Even though the Soul Devourer clan seemed to be stronger than the 5 Elements sect now, the Soul Devourer clan was still very wary of them. Otherwise, they would not have been so close to the Longhu sect and even joined forces to deal with the 5 Elements sect. Chu Yang was someone who was on equal footing with him. Although not in terms of strength, he was definitely on par with him in terms of status. Therefore, he could not casually reprimand, order, or even humiliate Chu Yang. He did not have the right to do so. Murong Huan did not expect this to happen. A mere Chi Soul Realm cultivator actually had such a status. Otherwise, he would not have acted like that just now. He had made a fool of himself for no reason. If word got out, he would be arrogant and domineering. He was not in the right. If he attacked again, the Soul Devourer clan would definitely punish him severely. Brother Murong, calm down. Yang Cheng from the Longhu sect rushed over and separated the two of them. Then, he cupped his fists at Chu Yang and said, "Brother Chu Yang, friendship grows after discord. Let's not ruin our friendship." Yang Cheng also immediately adjusted his mentality and put Chu Yang on an equal footing with him, not daring to be as contemptuous and domineering as before. For people of the same status, this was impolite and stupid. Of course, Chu Yang also became Brother Chu. Chu Yang only smiled light-heartedly as he thought to himself, if they find out about my true situation in the 5 Element sect in the future, they'll probably be angered to death. At this moment, the people from the 7 Stars sect also looked at Chu Yang in shock. They clearly believed that Chu Yang's status in the 5 Element sect was definitely not low. However, compared to the 5 Element sect, the Longhu sect, and the Soul Devourer clan, Chu Yang seemed too approachable. As expected of a genius disciple nurtured by the 5 Element sect. His bearing, upbringing, and other aspects are not something that the Soul Devourer clan and the Longhu sect can compare to. Murong Huan and Yang Cheng could also see what the 7 Stars sect was thinking from their faces, and their gazes could not help but turn cold. The 5 Element sect was once the leader of the 4 sects. Although its momentum was not as great as before, the temperament of a leader was an intangible thing that could not be achieved overnight. It required a great foundation and accumulation. Therefore, the Longhu sect and the Soul Devourer clan could not learn it even if they wanted to. This was also why the two sects were afraid of the 5 Element sect. The 5 Element sect was clearly weaker, but the temperament of the disciples that they nurtured far surpassed that of the two sects. In other words, Murong Huan and Yang Cheng had to admit that they were inferior to Chu Yang. Brother Murong, we're not in the right now. If we make a move, the five-element sect will be in trouble, and we won't be able to say anything. At that time, we'll only embarrass the sect. Yang Cheng was afraid that he could not appease Murong Huan, so he secretly said again, "This Chu Yang is so monstrous. We definitely can't let him live, but it's not difficult to kill him. We just have to find another opportunity. Brother Murong, please bear with it for now. Brother Yang, don't worry. I misjudged his identity just now, which is why I was in such a sorry state just now. It's difficult for me to get off the stage. However, I'll slowly settle the score after this." After Murong Huan responded to Yang Cheng, she said coldly, "The Longhu sect and the Soul Devourer clan were the first to discover this lightning earthly fire fruit. You don't have any objections, right?" Chapter 378. You want to kill me? Chu Yang sneered in his heart. Then don't blame me for killing people too. He remained calm and collected. As long as the senior and junior brothers of the Seven Stars sect have no objections, I naturally have no objections. How troublesome. Murong Huan and Yang Cheng's pupils constricted. Today, they might end up with the reputation of not following the rules jointly set by the four sects and bullying the Seven Stars sect. They could not help but care about this. With such a bad reputation, how could they still be the leader of the sects? The invisible leadership of the Five Elements sect would also gradually drift away from them and would never be able to touch it. Reputation was not important when the difference in strength was great, but it was very important when it was about the same. Do you have any objections? The ball was once again kicked back into the hands of the people from the Seven Stars sect. Facing the oppression of Murong Huan and Yang Cheng, their expressions were extremely ugly. Just as they were in a difficult position, a fluctuation rippled in the void, and a portal appeared. One of the message talismans turned into a rainbow light and flew out, landing in the hands of the Seven Stars sect's ascending soul stage powerhouse. This was the order of the Seven Stars sect's elder. It was sent through the portal. In an instant, everyone looked at the message talismans in the hands of the Seven Stars sect's people. The matter here involved the Seven Stars sect, the Longhu clan, and the Soul Devourer clan. It involved the higher-ups of the three sects. Not many people paid attention to the conflict between Chu Yang and Murong Huan. Under everyone's gazes, the people from the Seven Stars sect only took a glance at the contents of the Elder's talisman, and their expressions were very ugly. Chu Yang was unyielding. He went up alone, forcing the Longhu clan and the Soul Devourer clan to have no choice but to compromise. As long as his sect dared to be more unyielding, the lightning earthly fire fruit would be theirs. Whoosh! A moment later, another message talisman flew out from the Soul Devourer clan's portal and landed in Murong Huan's hands. Murong Huan only took a glance and sneered, "Seven Stars sect, what else do you have to say now?" Le Guanyu and the others' faces were ashen. The sect actually wanted them to compromise. Impossible. The elders won't agree. The little girl cried out. Enough. The elders have ordered us to return immediately. Let's not waste any more time and return to the sect immediately. The leader of the Seven Stars sect's disciples shouted sternly with a livid expression. Everyone could see that they were in a bad mood. After today, the Seven Stars sect would have no face left. They were the first to discover the hellfire fruit. According to the rules of the four sects, it should belong to the Seven Stars sect. However, the elders of the Seven Stars sect actually told them to give up this place and return immediately. How sullen. It had to be said that this was completely beyond the expectations of everyone in the Seven Stars sect. The Soul Devourer clan and the Longhu sect are actually this powerful? The Seven Stars sect was clearly in the right, but they were still forced to give up this place under pressure. Chu Yang also frowned. It was hard for him to imagine just how weak the Seven Stars sect, which was once one of the four sects, had become. It had to be said that everything before his eyes had completely exceeded his expectations, and it gave him a deep lesson. It also gave him a general understanding of the current situation in the sect world. The disciples of the Soul Devourer clan and the Longhu sect did not seem surprised by this result. They all sneered at Chu Yang and thought, "So what if you've stood up for us?" This was a slap in the face. There was nothing more satisfying than this. Even Murong Huan had a smug look on her face. Chu Yang, the senior and junior brothers of the Seven Stars sect, have already admitted that the Hellfire fruit belongs to the Longhu sect and the Soul Devourer clan. What else do you have to say? Murong Huan used the Soul Devourer clan to suppress the disciples of the Seven Stars sect and ordered them to retreat. She had also completely crushed Chu Yang's scheme. For a moment, she was in high spirits. Chapter 379. Since the senior and junior brothers of the Seven Stars sect have said so, I naturally have nothing to say. I'll take my leave now. Chu Yang left immediately. A wise man knew better than to fight when the odds were against him. The Soul Devourer clan was now in power, and they had the support of the Longhu clan. No one knew what the people of the Seven Stars sect were thinking. It was unwise for Chu Yang to clash with the people of the two sects alone. Therefore, he made a prompt decision and left immediately. However, no one noticed that when he turned around, a meaningful light flashed in his eyes. In the blink of an eye, Chu Yang and the people of the Seven Stars sect had left completely. Looking at Chu Yang's back as he left, Murong Huan's gaze turned cold. Go, keep an eye on him. When the time comes, I'll definitely kill him. That's right. If he doesn't die, he'll definitely become a future threat to our two sect. Yang Cheng's voice was also filled with killing intent. Chu Yang made his heart skip a beat. After one person from the Soul Devourer clan and the Longhu clan each followed behind Chu Yang, the two sects completely cleared the place. They no longer had any worries and began to kill the Thunderbolt beasts to obtain the Thunderbolt Hellfire fruit. Boss, you're not going to let them off just like that, right? Xiao Hei's voice sounded in Chu Yang's mind. What do you think? Chu Yang smiled. A man is not a man if he doesn't take revenge. Murong Huan already had the intention to kill me just now. Does he not want to kill me? If I can tolerate this, then I'm not a human, but a saint. Xiao Hei, I'm saying that you don't think before you speak, and you're a big idiot. Xiao Liu's face was full of disdain. A guy like Chu Yang was brutal and direct. How could he let go of the Thunderbolt Hellfire fruit? Especially since the other party was very domineering. But, sixth brother, if our omnipotent boss kills the Longhu clan and the Soul Devourer clan, I'm afraid it'll cause trouble. The Soul Devourer clan and the Longhu clan definitely won't let this matter rest. Chu Yang did not say anything. This was indeed a problem. Since Murong Huan could communicate with the elders of the Five Elements sect at any time, it was obvious that her status was not low. Heavenly lightning, earthly fire fruit. Chu Yang muttered to himself. He could not give up on this plaything. He had already learned about the uses of the lightning fire fruit from Ding Wuji. How could he miss out on such a treasure? Chu Yang's eyes suddenly flashed. His sharp divine perception detected two people secretly tailing him. He couldn't help but snort coldly. Even if I don't kill them, they will still want to kill me. I want to see who will be the one killing who. At this time, Chu Yang had already walked some distance away. There were Seven Stars sect disciples in front of him. Le Guanyu and the others were deliberately waiting for Chu Yang. Chu Yang knew these Seven Stars sect disciples. The leaders of the Seven Stars sect disciples had already left. The Seven Stars sect's actions today were very unrighteous. Chu Yang went forward, but they retreated. What was this? How could they have the face to stay? Le Guanyu and the little girl also felt very guilty. After a moment of silence, they said, "Senior brother Chu, we're sorry." The little girl's face was full of guilt. She felt deeply ashamed. Chu Yang was only at the third level of the Chi Soul realm, yet he dared to be so unyielding. However, the elders of their sect had disappointed her too much. Don't think too much. Master's matters are not as simple as black and white. When Chu Yang saw the little girl's ashamed and guilty expression, he could not help but comfort her. Brother Chu, I hope that you can keep your mouth shut about this matter. Le Guanyu also spoke. It was very difficult for him. The Seven Stars sect was not righteous to begin with. Now that they had to hide it, how could they have the nerve to ask for help? Nevertheless, what could he do? The Seven Stars sect still wanted their reputation. If they could hide it, they would. When the four sects were confronting each other just now, the others had been driven out for a long time. Naturally, they did not know what was going on between the four sects. Senior brother Le, don't worry. I'll definitely keep my mouth shut, but I'm afraid it's useless. How could the Soul Devourer clan and the Dragon Tiger sect keep their mouths shut? Nevertheless, this was the only way. Le Guanyu frowned and did not say anything. Then, he said, Brother Chu, not only do we owe you a life-saving favor, but we've also embarrassed ourselves today. Let's not talk about it anymore. In the future, if Brother Chu has any orders, I'll definitely do it even if it costs me my life. Brother Le, you're exaggerating. Chu Yang shook his head and did not take it seriously. Brother Chu, the Seven Stars sect did something wrong this time. Please don't take it to heart. Chapter 380. It could be said that the Seven Stars sect had lost a lot of face this time. However, this was the decision of the Seven Stars sect's higher-ups. A disciple like Le Guanyu could do nothing about it. Every sect has their own difficulties. I understand. Brother Le, there's no need to worry too much. There's no need to say anything. After all, no one was willing to be stepped on and bark like a dog. As for the exact situation of the Seven Stars sect, Chu Yang did not know, so it was not appropriate for him to comment. Thank you for your understanding, Brother Chu. The sect's elders have summoned us back, so we'll take our leave here. Le Guanyu and the others said goodbye. Okay, everyone, I have to return to the Five Elements sect too. Goodbye, Chu Yang said. The group of Seven Stars sect disciples immediately rushed into the distance. Only Le Guanyu was at the back. He said again, Brother Chu, I'll return to the sect first. If you have time in the future, you might as well come to the Seven Stars sect. As he said that, he walked past Chu Yang. When he brushed past him, he said in a voice that only Chu Yang could hear, Brother Chu, be careful. Chu Yang's heart trembled. When he raised his head, he saw that Le Guanyu had already rushed into the distance. Boss, that fella saw through it. His eyes are very sharp. Lil Six was a little shocked. So what if he knows? Let's go too. Chu Yang was just putting on an act. The reason why he deliberately said that he wanted to return to the Five Elements sect in front of the Seven Stars sect was because he wanted them to be his witnesses. However, Le Guanyu had seen through his intentions. It was really not simple. Le Guanyu isn't ordinary. Chu Yang narrowed his eyes slightly. Fortunately, he and Le Guanyu should be friends and not enemies. Even if Le Guanyu intended to harm him, he was only guessing and did not have any evidence. Therefore, Chu Yang did not change his mind. After pretending to leave, he killed the two people behind him and immediately returned. Roar. Chu Yang heard a loud roar from afar. It was accompanied by the rumbling of thunder, as well as the crackling sound of thunder and lightning. It was an extinct volcano about 3,000 meters away from where Chu Yang and Murong Huan were originally facing each other. After he carefully approached, he saw more clearly. On the peak of the mountain, there was an ancient tree that was charred black. It looked like the entire tree was struck by lightning. The leaves seemed to be a painting of lava and volcanoes. It was fiery red, and it made people feel as if the whole leaf was burning at first glance. On the branches of this ancient tree, there were 6 fist-sized fruits. They were the size of a fist, but they looked very strange. The entire fruit was transparent, and the upper half looked like dark clouds gathering in the sky. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. From time to time, the sound of thunder could be heard coming from the fruit. Its lower half was a pool of magma, as if it was a world inside a volcano. Magma surged and flames raged. This is the heavenly lightning hellfire fruit. Chu Yang's eyesight was very good. Even from far away, he could clearly see the heavenly lightning earthly fire fruit. The battle there was already very intense. The sound of killing, the sound of thunder, and the sound of miserable cries almost never stopped. These are the heavenly lightning beast. He also saw the two heavenly lightning beasts. They had the head of an eagle, the body of a lion, and the wings of a pair of black wings. Their bodies seemed to be condensed from the black thunder cloud in the sky. They had a metallic luster, as if their bodies were not made of flesh and blood, but of divine gold. At this moment, the two heavenly lightning beasts were shining with lightning. With a gentle flap of their wings, a dazzling lightning bombarded down. When they opened their mouths and raised their claws, endless lightning blasted out. It was very shocking. The two heavenly lightning beasts were fighting the Longhu sect and the Soul Devourer clan. They were not at a disadvantage at all. There were even 4 or 5 disciples from the two sects who were directly killed by the heavenly lightning beasts and swallowed whole. Hehe, these heavenly lightning beasts are so strong. It's enough for them to suffer. When they kill the heavenly lightning beasts and obtain the heavenly lightning hellfire fruit, Murong Huan and Yang Cheng should be almost exhausted. Chu Yang narrowed his eyes. Fortunately, the Longhu sect and the Soul Devourer clan were overbearing and unreasonable, snatching the ownership of the heavenly lightning hellfire fruit. Otherwise, the ones fighting the heavenly lightning beasts would be him and the people from the 7 Stars sect, and the ones watching the show in the dark would be Murong Huan and Yang Cheng. The mantis stalks the cicada. You've done well, mantis. No wonder you're fighting to be the mantis. Chapter 381. Roar. When Chu Yang returned after setting up the formation, a loud roar reverberated in his ears. After a long battle, the two heavenly thunder beasts were completely enraged and did the same thing. They spread their wings and floated in the air like a cloud. Demonic chi surged out of their bodies and spread out in an instant. It quickly formed a black cloud and drowned them in it. Immediately, the black cloud became more and more real and huge, like a thundercloud in the sky. Rumble. The loud sound of thunder came from above, and lightning snakes danced. As the lightning flashed, the heavenly thunder beasts in the deepest part of the black cloud appeared. At this moment, their eyes were also white. It seemed to be endless lightning, and there seemed to be a huge thunderstorm in their eyes. The black cloud was pressing down on the city. Chu Yang looked at the two thunder cloud and had such a feeling. The black cloud became even bigger and emitted a terrifying pressure. The power of thunder and lightning within it was gathering crazily. Damn it! Murong Huan and Yang Cheng's expressions changed drastically. The two heavenly thunder beasts were going to fight them to the death. The black cloud formed by the heavenly thunder beasts and the terrifying power of thunder and lightning condensed really frightened them. It was said that if the heavenly thunder beasts were fully grown, they would be able to release lightning attacks similar to thunder tribulations. Obviously, this seemed to be the embryonic form of thunder tribulations. Therefore, if the two heavenly thunder beasts were allowed to fully brew the terrifying power of thunder and bombard them, they would definitely die. In the dark, Chu Yang watched the heavenly thunder beasts brew such an attack. The more he felt, the more frightened he became. He couldn't help but think to himself, this heavenly thunder beast is really terrifying. It's much more shocking than the hellfire evil dragon. Brother Murong, don't hold back anymore. Otherwise, if these two beasts really condense the thundercloud, we'll be doomed eternally. Yang Cheng's voice was almost trembling. Brother Yang, you're in charge of dispersing the thunder cloud outside their bodies. I'll kill these two beasts. Murong Huan gave the order directly. Her voice was like a large bell that resounded through the void. Everyone, go all out. Don't hold back. As he roared, the disciples of the Soul Devourer clan and the Longhu sect also sensed the danger and attacked frantically. However, the thunder cloud formed by the heavenly thunder beasts was not something that a group of disciples could withstand. When they attacked, the power of thunder and lightning immediately shot out from the thundercloud, charring them black. Murong Huan and Yang Cheng were the main forces of the two sects. At this moment, Murong Huan had already sat down cross-legged, and Yang Cheng did not have any objections. Instead, he released a shocking aura. The murderous intent on his body became even more intense at this moment. It completely manifested, and actually turned into a scarlet mist that spread out in all directions. Roar! Roar! A loud roar resounded through the heavens and earth and poured into Chu Yang's ears. Chu Yang immediately stared at Yang Cheng. 3 huge green dragons and 3 white tigers with bright and murderous auras rushed out from Yang Cheng's body. They were extremely ferocious. The dragons and the white tigers each rushed towards a heavenly thunder beast. This Yang Cheng is just ordinary. He didn't learn the green dragon scripture and white tiger scripture of the Longhu sect at all. At most, he only learned half of it. The green dragons seemed to have some of the green dragon's form and spirit. However, in Chu Yang's opinion, merging it into the dragons was counterproductive and its power was much weaker. Because this way, the dragons were not dragons, and the green dragon was not green dragon. The form and spirit of the green dragon would definitely affect the brutality and ferocity of the dragons. The white tiger was not a real white tiger. Its murderous power was too strong, but it lacked the power of metal of the West. Therefore, it lacked the sharpness of a weapon and the sharpness of slaughtering creatures. It was like a tiger without claws. One only knew how to shout kill and kill but did not kill a single person. However, even so, the power of the two was still very shocking. After all, Yang Cheng's strength was in the 5th level of the ascending soul realm. The construction of the dragons and white tigers was just not perfect. Rumble. The 2 thunder clouds that the heavenly thunder beast had transformed into each shot out a shocking bolt of lightning. The heads of the 3 dragons and the 3 white tigers immediately exploded. The 2 green dragons were also bombarded by the lightning and quickly exploded. Chapter 382. Rumble. Crackle. The thunder cloud, the flood dragon, and the white tiger all exploded, revealing the figures of 2 heavenly thunder beasts. The exploded thunder cloud contained a great power of thunder and lightning, which sputtered in all directions. The surrounding area crackled with electricity, and countless electric sparks flashed out. For a moment, it seemed to make the world even brighter. When Murong Huan's roar resounded in Chu Yang's ears, he looked over and could not help but be shocked. The soul-severing gourd, Murong Huan's martial soul is the soul-severing gourd. At this moment, there were strange blood-red lines all over Murong Huan's forehead, which seemed to form a mysterious pattern. A blood-red gourd appeared between his eyebrows, surrounded by ghost fog, and countless vengeful spirits appeared on the gourd. They seemed to be the divine souls and martial souls that had been killed by the soul-severing gourd. According to what Chu Yang had heard of the Soul Devourer clan, it was said that the clan master of the Soul Devourer clan had obtained 3 gourds from a blessed place: the soul-severing gourd, the Soul Devourer gourd, and the detention gourd. The soul-severing gourd could slash and destroy souls, the Soul Devourer gourd could devour other people's divine souls, and the detention gourd could directly detain other people's divine souls. The 3 gourds were all aimed at martial artists' divine souls, which was extremely amazing. In addition, there was a scripture in each of the 3 gourds: the soul-severing scripture, the Soul Devourer scripture, and the detention soul scripture. These 3 scriptures were also the 3 supreme scriptures of the Soul Devourer clan. The soul-severing gourd was blood red, the Soul Devourer gourd was black, and the detention gourd was blood black. This was the soul-severing gourd. No wonder Murong Huan is so domineering. His martial soul is the soul-severing gourd. How could he not be valued by the Soul Devourer clan? Chu Yang frowned. If he were to kill this Murong Huan, he reckoned that he would be able to poke a huge hole in the world. My identity as an array master has been exposed. I can't use the array. Otherwise, once I kill Murong Huan, too many traces will be exposed. Just as Chu Yang was surprised, he heard Murong Huan's angry roar. From the soul-severing gourd, a strange bloodline pierced through the 2 sky thunder beasts. The 2 sky thunder beasts clearly knew how terrifying it was, but for some reason, their huge bodies clearly trembled and paused, allowing the 2 blood threads to instantly pierce through their bodies. Their huge bodies trembled even more violently, but the so-called soul-severing gourd could not directly destroy their souls. Once the soul-severing gourd appeared, it would sever one's soul. It would be a joke if one's soul were to be destroyed instantly. If one were to look at Murong Huan now, one would realize that Murong Huan's face was extremely pale. It was obvious that his realm was still too low and his strength was insufficient. He could not display the true power of the soul-severing gourd at all. Roar! The heavenly thunder beasts seemed to have suffered a heavy blow to their souls. They roared crazily, and their huge bodies suddenly swelled up. Then, they disappeared and turned into a huge ball. Damn it, they're going to self-destruct. Run! Murong Huan and Yang Cheng were extremely frightened. By the time they wanted to run for their lives, it was already too late. With a boom, the two sky thunder beasts completely exploded. It was as if two huge suns had jumped out in an instant. The dazzling light made the whole world blazing. Then, as if the suns had exploded, countless lightning flashed out and wreaked havoc in the world. The endless lightning also completely submerged the place. Rumble. The rumbling sound of thunder seemed to be the sound of the earth shaking. Chu Yang only felt the earth shaking violently, and the dazzling light almost made him unable to open his eyes. The visible airwaves were like monstrous waves in the ocean, surging in all directions. The wind was even stronger, raging to the surroundings. Chapter 383. When the storm subsided, Chu Yang looked at the original location of the heavenly thunder hellfire fruit. Half of the mountain had been blown up, but there was still a heavenly thunder hellfire fruit there. Damn it, the heavenly thunder hellfire fruit is gone. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Chu Yang, who planned to be the oriole, not only did he not get the mantis, but he also ate a mouthful of sand and mud. He was very depressed. Everything had happened too abruptly. Chu Yang hadn't expected this at all. The so-called plan couldn't keep up with the changes. This was more or less the case. Then, he thought about it and could not help but shudder. I'm afraid the Seven Stars sect is not weak and can be bullied, nor is it the kind of sect that will not make a sound after being stepped on. Perhaps they already knew that the heavenly thunder beast was extremely terrifying and could not be obtained at all, so they might as well use it to kill the Longhu sect and the Soul Devourer clan. When this thought appeared, Chu Yang broke out in a sweat. Dangerous, too dangerous. Previously, he was still thinking about the mantis stalking the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. He was afraid that he would not even know how he died. I'd better not do this kind of killing and robbing in the future. Otherwise, one day, I'll really die. The more Chu Yang thought about it, the more he felt a lingering fear. If he had killed Murong Huan and the others in a fit of anger before coming to snatch the heavenly thunder hellfire fruit, his life would have ended here like just now. After calming down, he glanced around and immediately saw two broken corpses. They should be Murong Huan and Yang Cheng. Only their strength could prevent them from being smashed into pieces in such an explosion. As for who was who, it was impossible to tell at all. Terrible, it's simply too terrible. Fortunately, the two of you stood up for me. I will definitely remember the great kindness of the two of you. Chu Yang saw Murong Huan and Yang Cheng's storage rings, but he had no intention of robbing them. It was too dangerous. If he left his aura and the Longhu sect and the Soul Devourer clan came to find him, he would simply want to cry but have no tears. Clang clang clang, Chu Yang was about to turn around and leave when he suddenly heard the sound of swords clashing in his consciousness. It seemed to be a cry for help. Boss is over there. Little Six and Little Black said in unison. They looked in the direction they were pointing at and saw a small sword and a small knife. The saber and the sword were very illusory. It seemed as if they would disappear at any moment. However, Chu Yang felt a burning pain in his soul the moment he saw them. It seemed as if he had been slashed by a saber or pierced by a sword. His soul was already dripping with blood. He couldn't help but squint his eyes. What is this thing? It's so terrifying. It's extremely harmful to the soul. Could it be from the soul-severing gourd? The soul-severing gourd contains this saber and sword. I'll use them to sever souls. Chu Yang shuddered as he thought of such a possibility. He flew over with a swoosh sound, and carefully tried to put away the sword and the saber. The moment his hand touched them, they entered his body with a swoosh sound. So easy. Immediately, Chu Yang understood. It was the power of the sword martial spirit and the saber martial spirit. The sword and saber quickly entered his sword martial spirit and the saber martial spirit. Suddenly, His sword martial spirit and the saber martial spirit trembled violently and emitted a dazzling light, illuminating Chu Yang's entire consciousness space. Then, his sword martial spirit and the saber martial spirit emitted a shocking wave of energy. Soul suppression. This is soul suppression. Chu Yang was shocked. The reason why the soul suppression appeared was because the sword martial spirit and the saber martial spirit suddenly increased in strength. At this moment, the flood dragon martial spirit roared because of the soul suppression. It quickly hid behind the genius martial spirit and the idiot martial spirit. Boom! The genius martial spirit and the idiot martial spirit were also suppressed. At this moment, a shocking aura suddenly burst out, helping the sword martial spirit and the saber martial spirit to completely merge. The soul suppression of the sword and the saber disappeared completely. Chapter 384. He hadn't completed the third revolution of the Chi Soul realm yet. Otherwise, his sword martial spirit and saber martial spirit would have been upgraded to a 7th grade martial spirit, which was equivalent to the 3rd level of the ascending soul realm. Fortunately, I have the genius martial spirit and the idiot martial spirit. Otherwise, I would have been in danger. My perfect foundation would have been completely destroyed. Then, Chu Yang sensed the sword martial spirit and saber martial spirit. He couldn't help but be stunned. The two had undergone a huge change. The current Chu Yang felt that if he used the sword martial spirit or saber martial spirit, he would definitely be able to heavily injure or even kill his opponent's soul. His saber martial spirit obviously had the characteristics of the soul-severing gourd. Lost a sesame seed and picked up a big watermelon. Chu Yang's disappointment at not getting the heavenly thunder earthly fire fruit vanished in an instant. This was even more astonishing than the heavenly thunder earthly fire fruit. The Soul Devourer clan is indeed not simple. I can't stay here any longer. Swoosh. Chu Yang's figure flashed, and left far away in an instant. Then, he disappeared without a trace. Not long after he left, swoosh, 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 swoosh. Because of the huge commotion just now, many people quickly rushed over. They couldn't help but be shocked when they saw the mess in front of them. Fortunately, the Soul Devourer clan and the Longhu sect were domineering and drove us away. Otherwise, we wouldn't even know how we died. Many people looked at the scene in front of them and sucked in a breath of cold air. They naturally knew what had happened. The Soul Devourer clan and the Longhu sect had cleared the place and driven them away. They must have wanted to snatch the lightning earthfire fruit and had fought with the Sky Thunder Beast, which caused a huge explosion in the end. This Sky Thunder Beast is much more terrifying than I imagined. Fortunately, the Soul Devourer clan and the Longhu sect were kind. Hehe, looks like I have to thank them. Do you guys think we should burn an incense for them? Brother, be careful with your words, lest you invite a fatal disaster. The Longhu sect and the Soul Devourer clan are not reasonable people. That's right. It's better to be cautious. I think we can't stay here any longer. Otherwise, when the people from the Soul Devourer clan and the Dragon Tiger sect arrive, we'll probably be in trouble and become their punching bags. Even if we die, we'll die for nothing. Shoo. Shoo. These people came quickly and left even faster, disappearing without a trace in an instant. After a while, there was a fluctuation in the void, and 2 portals appeared. 2 old men walked out from them, and when they saw everything in front of them, their faces were extremely gloomy, as if there was a thick layer of thundercloud around them. Brother Murong, the 7 Stars sect probably knew that the Sky Thunder Beast was far more terrifying than we imagined. That's why they deliberately gave us the Sky Thunder Hellfire fruit. Their intentions are deserving of death. This was Elder Li Wenhan of the Dragon Tiger sect. He gritted his teeth. The brother Murong he mentioned was Murong Chunghe of the Soul Devourer clan. Not only was he an elder of the Soul Devourer clan, but he was also Murong Huan's grandfather. At this moment, Murong Chunghe was on the verge of exploding with rage and losing control. His precious grandson, his genius grandson, his grandson who possessed the soul-severing gourd martial soul, was dead. He was dead. Crack. He clenched his fists so tightly that cracking sounds could be heard. His voice came out from between his teeth, My grandson is dead. Why isn't Chu Yang from the Five Elements sect dead? Li Wenhan was stunned. What does this have to do with anything? Could it be that he wants Chu Yang from the Five Elements sect to be buried with him? However, this is too much. Brother Li, perhaps you don't know who this Chu Yang is. Murong Chunghe laughed sinisterly and said, previously, Xiao Huan sent a message back and specifically told me that there is a person, a formation master who can withstand the soul pressure of a 5th level ascending soul tier formation master at the 5th level Chi soul tier. This person is Chu Yang. What? Li Wenhan was greatly shocked. This was too shocking. It was simply unheard of, so much so that he was very suspicious of Murong Chunghe. Brother Murong, as you said, if this Chu Yang is from the Five Elements sect, we really shouldn't provoke him now. After all, we have to deal with both the 7 Stars sect and the 5 Elements sect at the same time. If we're not careful, we'll be defeated. Shio. Murong Chunghe didn't say anything. The flying letter that Murong Huan had sent to him fell into Li Wenhan's hands. When Li Wenhan read it, his whole body shook, and his eyes suddenly turned cold. Such a monster must be killed. If he didn't get rid of him as soon as possible, he would definitely be a great disaster in the future. He closed his eyes and meditated for a while. When he opened them again, they were dazzling with cold light. Brother Murong, what do you plan to do? Chapter 385. At the peak of the Divine Command Peak, there was a black hall. This was the location of the Divine Command Peak's teleportation gate. When one of the teleportation gates flashed, a figure quickly appeared within it. I'm finally back. It was naturally Chu Yang. There were teleportation gates to the Thunder Realm, and of course, there were teleportation gates to return as well. Whoosh! Chu Yang went straight to the mission pavilion. People came and went in the mission pavilion. Chu Yang's appearance didn't attract much attention. As for handing over the mission, it was very simple. When accepting a mission, there would be a mission token. When handing in the mission, there would be an array. Just insert the mission token into the array. When Chu Yang inserted his mission token into the array, a whirlpool-like black hole immediately formed. This was a short-distance teleportation array. The missions in the mission pavilion could be issued by anyone in the 5 Elements sect. After Chu Yang completed the mission, he placed the items in the array. These items would be sent to the person who issued the mission through the array. Chu Yang didn't know who issued the mission. After thinking for a while, he placed the 3 pieces of thunderstruck wood and the Inferno Evil Dragon's beast core in the array. When the disciple who was handing in the mission saw Chu Yang suddenly take out so many Inferno Evil Dragon's beast cores, his eyes couldn't help but widen as he looked at Chu Yang in disbelief. As for what mission Chu Yang accepted, he already knew when he saw the thunderstruck wood. However, with so many Inferno Evil Dragon's beast cores, it was a little too terrifying. Moreover, there were even beast cores in the first layer of the Ascending Soul Realm. He looked at Chu Yang from head to toe. He was only in the 5th layer of the Chi Soul Realm. He couldn't help but be even more shocked. Luckily, I didn't take out beast cores in the 2nd or 3rd layer of the Ascending Soul Realm. Chu Yang looked at the reaction of the people beside him and secretly rejoiced. As for himself, he did a rough calculation. Of the Hellfire Evil Dragon's Yarrow cores, there were 100 Yarrow cores at the 6th stage of the Chi Soul Realm, 50 Yarrow cores at the 7th stage, 30 Yarrow cores at the 8th stage, 30 Yarrow cores at the 9th stage, and 10 Yarrow cores at the 1st stage of the Ascending Soul Realm. The 6th layer beast core was worth 30 merit points, which increased in increments of 10. When it reached the Ascending Soul tier, the merit points increased to 100. In total, he had earned 9,900 merit points. In addition to the 1,000 merit points he had earned from the Thunderstruck Wood and the 3 pieces of Thunderstruck Wood, in other words, he had earned about 12,000 merit points from this mission. Not bad, Chu Yang was overjoyed. These 10,000 merit points should be enough to exchange for what he needed. However, he was a bit worried that the person who had issued the mission might not be able to handle it. Chu Yang was truly a bit of a freak. He had given a mission with a reward of 1,000 merit points, 10 times the reward. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. The person who issued the mission probably never thought that it would be like this. The Thunder Space was definitely a huge test for the inner disciples of the Five Elements sect. For ordinary disciples, it was impossible to kill so many ground fire evil dragons. As for the 12,000 merit points, not to mention core disciples, even true disciples would have to bear a heavy burden. After receiving the mission items, the people on the other side of the formation seemed to be stunned. As a result, the teleportation formation did not close for a long time. "It's over," Chu Yang exclaimed in his heart. He had indeed gone too far, so he immediately said, "Senior brother or elder on the other side, you can have as many as you want. You can return the rest." So many ground fire evil dragon beast cores. Finally, after Chu Yang spoke, a shocked voice came from the other side. It wasn't just one person, but many. Obviously, they were also shocked. This reaction. Chu Yang couldn't help but touch his nose. Just as he was about to speak again, a voice came from the other side. "Is it junior brother Chu?" He recognized me. Chu Yang was stunned. Then, he carefully recalled the voice and knew who it was. "Is it senior brother Cao?" Cao Ju, the first person Chu Yang had met after entering the Five Elements sect. It was Cao Ju who had sent him to the East Martial Institution. Chapter 386. Didn't the mission say that the more the merrier? The more the merrier, it's not that simple. The voice that came wasn't Cao Ju's, but someone else's. Chu Yang shrugged, "Senior brother Cao, don't talk nonsense, I'll give you as much as you want. I'll treat you to a drink when I have time. Hurry up and finish your task, I'm still waiting to show off my meritorious deeds to my junior sisters." Haha. Cao Ju's laughter came from the other side again. "Junior brother Chu, you're underestimating your senior brother Cao too much. Isn't it just 10,000 points, a small matter? Since you didn't forget to treat me to a drink, I'll give you 15,000 points. Senior brother Cao, are you a nouveau riche? Am I beating up a nouveau riche?" Haha. Cao Ju's laughter came again. "That's right, I'm a nouveau riche. Remember to treat me to a drink. I'm from Wood Element Peak, just mention my name when you come." Wood Element Peak. There were 10 peaks outside the Five Elements sect, and 5 inner peaks: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. Hearing this, Chu Yang knew that Cao Ju was at least a true disciple. Being able to stay in the inner 5 peaks, his status was definitely not low. Got it, got it. Chu Yang smiled, "Senior brother Cao, I won't be polite then. This little brother needs merit points now, just treat it as lending them to senior brother Cao." The two chatted for a while, then Chu Yang directly left. However, after the mission was handed over, he had to go to the achievement hall to collect the merit points. The same went for the merit points exchange. The person in charge of the achievement hall had already changed. Oyu Yangrong, who was taught a lesson by Chu Yang, had already left. However, the person in front of him didn't seem to be friendly to Chu Yang. "Senior brother, sorry for the trouble." Chu Yang handed over the mission token. Soon, the mission token returned to Chu Yang's hand. However, looking at the merit points on the mission token, Chu Yang's eyes narrowed. Only 5,000 merit points. That's 10,000 merit points deducted from me. When Chu Yang saw the number, his expression darkened. He secretly glanced at the person and found that he was only at the 7th layer of the Chi Soul realm. The coldness in his heart grew stronger. "Looks like I didn't show my strength enough." He raised his head and said coldly, "Do you think this number is correct?" Cao Ju had given him a total of 15,000 merit points, and Chu Yang had taken them. Because he needed them now, he didn't hold back. However, he couldn't help but feel a little apologetic towards Cao Ju. Now, there was actually someone who had deducted 10,000 merit points from him. In other words, this disciple of the Virtue Hall before him had actually taken away an entire 2/3 of his merit point. "Chimph, I'm warning you. You can eat whatever you want, but you can't speak whatever you want. 5,000 merit points, that's right." The man smiled sinisterly. "We have to take a small percentage of the rewards from all the missions we handle. This is the rule of the Achievement Hall. You're just an inner sect disciple. Where did you get so many merit points? 5,000 merit points is already giving you face. If you continue to be long-winded, you won't even get those 5,000 merit points. Chuyang didn't say anything. Suddenly, his eyes sharpened as he stared at the disciple. His gaze was like a sword. Whose dog are you? Deity, or who? How much did they give you to deal with me? Chuyang thought that it shouldn't be Deity. Deity had sent Ding Wuji, a fifth-layer ascending soul realm martial artist. He must have thought that he would definitely die. Why would he waste so much effort? As for who it was hard to say. Perhaps it was related to his big brother, Chu Fei, the unparalleled saint. Chuyang's situation could be said to be extremely dangerous. The man blinked and sneered. Since you know, why are you still spouting nonsense? 15,000 merit points. Who would believe that you have so many merit points? Who can prove it for you? 5,000 merit points is already more than enough. As long as I say it out loud, no one will think that I'm making things difficult for you. Do you understand? Unscrupulous. Chuyang understood what he meant. 15,000 merit points were very frightening. If Chuyang said that he had 15,000 merit points, he would probably be treated as a madman. As for those who were seriously calculative, senior brother Cao, who had issued the mission, would naturally have someone to settle it. I can tell you that your complexion is very ugly right now. The man ridiculed. Are you trying to establish your might again? Come on, let's fight. This time, you're not in the right. In addition, you've repeatedly fought in the Achievement Hall. You'll definitely die. The elders of the Achievement Hall won't tolerate you. I'm not in the right. Chuyang smiled. I said you're not in the right, so you're not in the right. What can you do to me? You still dare to fight? I don't think you dare. Chapter 387. Get lost. Whose dog is barking so fiercely? Chuyang's eyes flashed with anger. He could not tolerate this. The disciples of the various peaks and halls of the Five Elements sect, whether it was the Mission Pavilion or the Achievement Hall, had a special status. They were much more dignified than the other disciples. Otherwise, how could they suppress the other disciples? Most of these disciples were related to the elders, and since they were guarding the main hall, it meant that they represented the elders and the sect. Moreover, Chuyang had already made a move once. The Merit Palace Hall's elder could tolerate him once, but he absolutely couldn't tolerate him a second time. Therefore, Chuyang reckoned that he would thoroughly offend this Merit Palace Hall's elder if he made a move again. This was also the reason why this person was so fearless. One had to admit that he was a little smart. I don't want to offend him, but he wants to offend me. I don't care what kind of bullshit elder you are. Chuyang was about to attack. He was so angry that he laughed. Are you fearless? Don't you think 5,000 merit points is still a lot? If you have the ability, you can take them away, he said indifferently and threw his mission card over. Try taking all the merit points from the Thunderstruck Wood mission. See if you have the ability to take them all. The Merit Palace Hall's disciple was very surprised by this scene. When he saw Chuyang's faint smile, calm face, and playful eyes, he couldn't help but hold his breath. He was frightened by Chuyang's imposing manner. The disciples of the Merit Palace Hall indeed had a lot of authority. So, they could play some tricks and embezzle some merit points. However, embezzling 10,000 merit points would be completely insane. Chuyang wouldn't need to do anything if this matter were to spread out. He would be beaten to death for sure. As for further embezzlement, he did not dare. He was sure that if he did, Chuyang would immediately explode. Especially since Chuyang was extremely cruel. He had already learned his lesson. You think I don't dare? The Achievement Hall disciple tried to act tough. Why don't you try? Chuyang's expression became even more playful. Humph. You asked for it. Don't regret it. Although the Achievement Hall disciple's voice was still stern, his body was already trembling. He realized that Chuyang was looking at him as if he was looking at a dead man. Why not? The Merit Hall disciple's pupils shrank. He was even more terrified now. Only now did he realize that these 15,000 merit points were nothing in Chu Yang's eyes. He had made a fatal mistake. How terrifying was 15,000 merit points? For Chu Yang to be able to obtain it, he was definitely a genius disciple, and to a genius, merit points were nothing. Even if he lost them, he could still earn them back. But if he lost his backbone, what kind of genius was he? His little trick was actually trying to break Chu Yang's spine. Wasn't this courting death? He broke out in a cold sweat. How could Chu Yang tolerate him? He was dead meat. The achievement hall disciple trembled. Especially when he swept his eyes around, there was no one in the achievement hall. Even if Chu Yang made a move, there was no one who could testify for him. He stubbornly threw back Chu Yang's mission card. You've already obtained your mission reward. Quickly leave. Otherwise, don't go to the elders and report you for being unreasonable. You're scared. Chu Yang sneered. Only now do you know how to be scared. It's too late. I can very responsibly tell you that I'm very angry right now. Sects had their rules, sects had their rules. The more powerful a sect was, the more they couldn't break the rules. But sometimes, such rules were completely useless for geniuses. The achievement hall disciple's heart fiercely twitched. Soon after, a crisp sound was heard. He clearly saw Chu Yang make a move, but he couldn't react in time. After that, he found it difficult to breathe. His entire body was grabbed by Chu Yang by the neck and lifted up. Chu Yang really did make a move. Chapter 388. You. The Merit Palace disciple was trembling in fear. Chu Yang was completely out of control. Chu Yang was going to die, but he had to die before Chu Yang. At this moment, he was extremely regretful. He thought he was smart, thinking that he could cheat Chu Yang of his 10,000 merit points. But now, he realized that he was crazy and stupid. He actually tried to steal the 10,000 merit points of such a person. He must be crazy. Presumptuous. Little inner disciple, you actually dare to be presumptuous in my Merit Palace? Swish. From the Merit Palace, an old man of about 50 years old came out in anger. When he saw Chu Yang, he fiercely reprimanded him. His eyes were extremely cold, and there was even killing intent. An elder of the Merit Palace? Chu Yang's eyes narrowed slightly. This Merit Palace Hall's elder is a bit too weak. Shouldn't be. If he's an elder of the Merit Palace, he won't be so weak. He's actually only in the first layer of the ascending soul realm. But he clearly said that he's in my Merit Palace. If he's not an elder of the Merit Palace, who else can he be? Chu Yang smiled. Just like that, he carried the disciple of the Merit Palace and looked at the old man indifferently. He said indifferently, "Are you talking to me?" Presumptuous. Chu Yang's disrespect completely infuriated the old man. He immediately had the intention to kill, and then he went through the killing procedure and gave a warning. "Hurry up and put him down, or I'll definitely punish you severely." The old man laughed sinisterly. "I can even directly kill you in this Merit Palace. If you want to kill me in the Great Achievement Hall, you'll have to bear the consequences." Feeling the old man's killing intent, Chu Yang laughed even more mockingly. "Are you sure you're an elder of the Merit Palace of the Divine Command Peak? You're as weak as a chicken. You're courting death, Wang." The old man directly took action. Visible waves rushed out from the space between his eyebrows. His soul pressure directly pressed down on Chu Yang. It was like an impact drill, drilling into Chu Yang's spirit and bombarding Chu Yang's divine soul and martial spirit. If Chu Yang couldn't withstand this attack, his martial spirit would be crippled, and he would become a cripple. Chu Yang's killing intent surged, and his voice was as cold as ice. "A piece of trash like you wants to kill me? You're just a useless elder. Tell me whose dog you are, and I might be happy to spare your life." What? The old man was naturally not shocked by Chu Yang's words, but because Chu Yang was actually unaffected by his soul pressure. At this moment, even the Merit Hall disciple who was being strangled by Chu Yang could not help but shudder and almost fainted. "Elder Trash, do you know how powerful I am now?" Peng. Chu Yang took the merit hall disciple in his hand and walked toward the old man step by step. Da, 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 da. The old man was so frightened that he couldn't help but retreat continuously. Chu Yang couldn't help but sneer. A piece of trash like you wants to make things difficult for me? Have you eaten lard and lost your mind? Chu Yang took another step forward. The old man's legs went soft, and he directly sat on the ground. However, just now, he had clearly not taken Chu Yang seriously at all, and had even wanted to kill Chu Yang in this merit hall. Now, however, he was in such a state. It was really very laughable. However, he also had his own reasons. Chu Yang was able to withstand the soul pressure of an ascending soul tier cultivator when he was at the Chi soul tier, completely breaking the ironclad rule that Chi soul tier cultivators were no match for ascending soul tier cultivators. It also overturned his understanding of martial arts. How shocking this was, the old man understood best. It was precisely because he had been suppressed by the soul pressure of an ascending soul tier cultivator when he was young that he had just broken through to the ascending soul tier now. Chu Yang, you have committed a crime. The Guardian Elder has ordered you to admit your guilt immediately. Suddenly, at this time, a rude and unreasonable voice barged in from outside the merit hall, drilling into the ears of the three people present. The merit hall disciple and the old man felt as if they had escaped death, and they were wild with joy and relief, but also with lingering fear. Chapter 389. They know that I killed Duan Zhengji, Zhu Yanghua, and Yi Kangjian. So fast, I've only returned to the sect for a short while. In other words, since I'm still alive, they think that Duan Zhengji and the other two are definitely dead. So, even if they don't have any evidence, they still want to arrest me directly. Chu Yang sorted out his train of thought in an instant. As the saying goes, if you want to condemn someone, you can always find a pretext. If he went obediently, how could he have a good ending? He might even be killed by them directly. Can't you see that I'm busy? Chu Yang turned around and saw two young men with eagle-like eyes and extremely cold expressions. They were wearing the uniform unique to the disciples of the Hall of Guardians. There was a mirror on the right side of their sleeves, and a guillotine on the left. Cultivation of the first level of the ascending soul tier. In some people's eyes, this kind of cultivation was more than enough to deal with Chu Yang. Chu Yang's cold eyes swept over, and he said coldly, "Are you blind? Get out of here immediately. If you dare to say another word, I'll teach you how to behave." Wang. The disciples of the Merit Hall and the elder of the Merit Hall were that old man. Both of their minds buzzed. Chu Yang actually dared to go against the Hall of Guardians. The Hall of Guardians was specifically in charge of dealing with the disciples who violated the sect rules. It was the most dignified. Whoever dared to disobey, they could immediately kill them on the spot without asking for the reason. Especially the elder of the Hall of Guardians. He was not an elder of the Merit Hall, but a piece of trash. The elder of the Hall of Guardians of the Divine Manipulation Peak was second only to the Peak Master, Sui Yunfu. His strength was unfathomable. When these two disciples of the Hall of Guardians heard Chu Yang's rude and unreasonable words, they were not angry, but happy instead, and directly attacked. With a light wang, visible waves directly rushed toward Chu Yang. Soul pressure fiercely crushed toward Chu Yang, but Chu Yang was like a reef in the sea. No matter how the waves crashed, he still did not move an inch. How is this possible? These two disciples of the Hall of Guardians felt as if their minds had been ruthlessly slashed by knives and swords. Instantly, their expressions changed greatly, but fortunately, they were already mentally prepared for Chu Yang's shocking strength before they came, and very quickly calmed down. However, at this time, the two of them were already extremely wary of Chu Yang. "Chu Yang, let's go. You can't bear the consequences of delaying the time of the Hall of Guardians." "That's right. Come with us, I'll give you a piece of advice. Otherwise, you'll have to bear the consequences." The tone of the two disciples of the Law Keeper Palace eased a lot. Where was the previous fierceness and arrogance? They didn't even hesitate to echo each other and put on an appearance of being merciless and doing official business. Haha. If Chu Yang had to, they were really, they were to Bulin's A, and they were, they. Now, how could he take these two people seriously, especially when they were clearly trying to kill him? If he still took the initiative to send himself to them, then there would really be something wrong with his brain. The Hall of Guardians' orders have nothing to do with me. I've already told you, I'm not free now. The Hall of Guardians wants to see me. Fine. Let him come over himself. Chu Yang waved his hand with a look that said, I don't take a little Hall of Guardians seriously. What? How dare you? The two disciples realized that because of the fear they showed just now, they were completely looked down upon by Chu Yang, and instantly felt a great shame. They were furious, their expressions changed, and their eyelids rolled, and their eyes suddenly emitted a cold light. Chu Yang, you've got guts. I remind you, in front of the Hall of Guardians' orders, you have no room to resist. You'd better not make a mistake. You really refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. If you dare to disobey orders, you're asking for trouble. The two of them were furious, and their thin cheeks were as sharp as a knife, revealing a bone-chilling coldness. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.